bit. Now K-Mine trying to return the favor here. Here comes a smoke from Taemin as K-Mine is up behind this US. He has a tire blocking him from Taemin 4 now, but on the bottom of all this is Sun Sister, who is now starting to put shots at Taemin.
Sun Sister, and we also have Sting Divine that can look back up this hillside. That's why everybody's just clutching to cover right now, and you hear all these shots just peppering into it. Have to be very cautious. Blue Circle's gonna pop up, and oh, just nearly got away from that. Fairly centralized. Everybody that's playing around power gonna have a little bit of trouble. There is a skirmish going on with Tempo Storm as well as Indus Ace along this angle. You can see just rang the last member up. A lot of TSM members around him, so has to be very cautious on how he opts into playing this. I think Gustav might have an angle for him, so now we can see also it's gonna be infantry taking the shots off the side of this ramp. Actually playing along these smokes quite efficiently. I think he managed to sneak around onto it, get some shots back over towards Rory. That's going to connect to get the down onto it, but now I like this. It's a very guerrilla style of play. Get the shots off, move to a new position, hide out, sneak around on another side of it, but Gustav's like, no, I'm done with your games, bro.
I like the idea. I didn't like the place he decided to opt and prone there. I thought that was a bit of a misstep there. Really sneaky stuff from Rang. I thought he could have been a little more dodgy and cagey there, but he was trying to make something out of a very difficult situation. 4v1 versus TSM, not going to go your way.
It just feels like every team that ends up in front of TSM right now is in trouble, and next on that list might be infantry. Depending on how TSM opts into playing this circle, they have a little bit of Milta power that they can still opt into play. Use those walls if they wanted to. Downside of that is anybody that stays in this position knows the moment that they have to move, since it's so close to the edge, everybody is just going to be firing back at them.
Well, I tell you what, Rumblers have got to be happy with this position they've taken up inside of the refinery. Purdy Curdy putting some shots into the wall as he's trying to get the spray onto Easy here, who is proning behind this rock. Right now, it doesn't look like Uncivil has an angle on that. Divine still inside the circle themselves in those yellow houses up on the north, and ooh, Uncivil takes a little bit of damage there.
Have to be so careful from this position because they have Sun Sister off on one angle and they have Sting Divine on another. So anytime they go for any peek, it's a lot of bullets coming their way. Infantry looks like they're scouting out. They did see UAZ moving. So curious on how they do this. Actually looks like Point might be moving into more of an aggressive position. Know that they are in a disadvantaged position just due to numbers, but sometimes you can get that good spray, take out the UAZ, take down a couple of players, maybe get something out of it. He might be able to line up a good grenade. We'll have to see if he wants to play this aggressive or not. That feels kind of like how they're wanting to play this situation.
I was exactly thinking the same thing. A good grenade here from Baolang could really ruin TSM's round. They are really grouped up. I love what TSM is doing here because they can keep their vehicles very safe. There's a lot of cover in this position available. So when they have to make an aggressive push, at least they'll have the vehicles available. Now, of course, anytime in modern competitive PUBG, it's really difficult to get a vehicle anywhere because of how good these players are at landing their shots. We're moving over back to Bao Ling, who is still deciding if he is going to pull the trigger on a TSM, but TSM is loading up in their vehicles. Let's see if this will be the go time for him.
I like this. Wait and see what happens. Wait until the zone closes, find out where the new safe zone is at, see if maybe they can get something out of this. And it's gonna go back over next to the Rumblers and Tempo Storm. So now, how do you opt into playing this? Grenade did come out, and look at this. It just drew so much attention. Trying to hold the angle, go for the pre-shots onto it, but it's just an instant nope coming up from TSM. Walks up, takes the kill, and then walks away from it.
Longsker is able to get one knock inside of the smokes there, but there is just so many smokes down for TSM. They might be able to get this res. Yes, indeed they do. They're able to get safely inside of that building. Should be able to heal up here. We have one member left for infantry, just Longsker. Now I'm really fascinated to watch how TSM is going to approach this next circle.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Where do they go next? They have a difficult rotation. You can see Sting Divine suffering from a similar rotation that's going to have to happen along this path. They do manage to get in that low ground with one member. It was a huge amount of casualties they took to get to this position, but they at least have something through there. Meanwhile, Levis is just trying to run through, drops down to his belly, and that looks like that's going to be his home for a while. They did manage to get two up inside the circle, but there was a huge cost.
Oh no, Michael with a little bit of an accident there. They're going to be able to get the res onto Gustav, but it's going to be later than they wanted. Two members in a US are going to transverse a lot of different teams and are going to take a lot of damage. Can they make this work?
There's
no,
one.
Rory gets out. Iroh is forced to stop at this tree.
Drops back down. Rumblers have a back angle onto this. Iroh has to be so careful. Meanwhile, the follow-up push from TSM, they're just going to go ahead and crash right along the wall. Shots are going to come through. Los has to retreat back around the angle. Two members of Tempo Storm trying to push push on the other side of this has to be very, very careful. They have the sight lines. So with this, TSM retreating back. Grenade's going to come through. Gustav's going to go down last second off of that. But now Los just has those underhand tosses. He can just keep chunking off the side of this. Michael goes down as well. And then there was one for TSM. And that's Iro out in the middle of the field.
A great couple of grenades there from Los, realizing his first one was just a little bit too far, switching to the underhand, and that is going to be TSM going down in 8th place, but they had a ton of kills in that round.
Look at this cheeky angle coming up from Cherry Poppin'. Gonna try to take a couple of shots, get some damage back over to Sting Divine, and that's just one of those angles you're never expecting.
It's just so weird. There's so many little angles you can take inside and outside of this refinery, and because of all these windows and different pipes and other, bars and other things you've got going on. So Cherry Poppin's doing a nice job finding himself a little bit of an angle to put some pressure onto Divine, as now Lazarus is putting up the smoke bridge to get across the road. Uncivil and Purdy Curdy could be under fire here very shortly. Gabo is only able to get one shot in there, though.
That's a great use of stacking smokes, knowing the terrain, and understanding the angles that you're weak from. Using this, Lazarus has managed to sneak into a position that they can get a little bit more space. Sting Divine can't really push back up on this angle as well. Grenade toss might be able to connect, but man, that's really far away, and that's kind of a Hail Mary toss, all things considered. So now, where do we go next? It's still just a little bit of factory in play. Tempo Storms Complex coming up big. K-Mine taking some shots back down towards Levis, but another little bitty lip of a ridge is giving him some cover.
Yeah, those guns don't count. You can't shoot those. They won't take damage for the players here. So Levi's is able to find just enough of a lip in front of him. Here comes Purdy Curdy as well, throwing some frag grenades in front of him, trying to see if he can get anything with those grenades, but it's going to be Levi's who is found out by K-Mine, who gets a little bit higher position. Now he's taking some damage from the Sun Sisters.
Everybody's rotating around towards the north. We have Lazarus that's making a push back over towards Sting Divine. Sun Sisters trying to figure out how they're going to make the push back over towards this. Purdy Curdy still just kind of holding this different angle, trying to hold anybody that wants to push back down in this position. The problem with it is, how is Sun Sister going to move? They have the numbers right now, but they're towards the tail end of this movement. That's going to be Sting Divine going down, and a little bit more space, but now Purdy Curdy goes down in the exchange.
Purdy Curdy is knocked, but 4 kills already for him in this match. It looks like Cherry Poppin might be able to finish this off. Yes, indeed. Now Uncivil is coming alive, finding the Sun Sisters on the backside as Rumblers are putting shots into them as well. 10 kills here for the Rumblers, who are doing a fantastic job holding down this facility.
They are playing off of so many interesting angles right now. As everybody's moving into these open terrain, they can just have free reign to shoot at whatever they want. K-Mine follows up with another nice headshot. Somehow Genesis is just clinging to life along this edge, and they're managing to get every little point that they can out of this game, and that's going to stack very quickly.
I mean, this might come down to a 4v4 of the Rumblers versus Tempo Storm. A NA duel. I cannot wait for that. That would be super exciting. K-Mine is stuck behind a rock. You do have critical motion left from Vendetta, just hiding as a solo behind some logs there in the northern part of the circle. So that might be the key factor in this final situation.
So we have Tempo Storm that's off to the west, Rumblers down towards the south. Critical motion in a little bit of an interesting spot. I don't think that anybody might be expecting it at this point. With 9 alive, these 3 teams active, and it looks like Microfry is going to hop in the UAZ, go for a little bit of a push out. I like that. Switch over to the cars, the secondary seat, see if maybe you can get a shot off onto it, but a little bit more control, and that's going to pay off as they are going to be in the new safe zone. Tempo Storm just has to hop over buildings. Critical motion also still in the safe zone.
Yeah, Microfry probably didn't want that UAZ to go quite so far. Could have been blown up anyway, but probably would have liked to have kept that a little bit closer. At least you can utilize it as a little bit of extra cover, potentially. Critical motion, there you can see just prone. He is not going to be moving until he absolutely has to.
Yeah, that is 100% the way that it's going to go for the rest of his game. Now Tempo Storm doing their regroup. They're going to have 4 stacked up over towards this building. So a lot of control on these different angles, but not a lot of control over the circle right now. There's a lot of dead space inside of this, not easy terrain pieces to play. As you can see, Rumblers are just kind of scratching at anything they can find. Zampa knows, okay, there's probably somebody still around here. They can do the math on it. They can assume that there's at least a couple of these stragglers hiding out somewhere.
Well, it's weird because most of the cover in this circle is coming from the road, which is slightly elevated inside of this area. So both teams kind of playing around it, not really exposing themselves on either side of it. Now, eventually the Rumblers are going to have to push a little bit forward. That's why these smokes are coming up right now. They know they've got to get just a little bit further ahead, and you can see Waldo taking a great angle.
I like this. Throw the smoke line after you already sent the UAZ on one angle. Have everybody focused on that line. Send Waldo off on a different position, so that way if Tempo Storm has to move, he's set and ready to go with a flank position onto them. His position with Vendetta's critical motion, other position. If Tempo Storm has to leave this spot, which in high likelihood they will have to do, they're going to have good shots coming onto this, and it's going to make Tempo Storm's life really hard.
Well, it's going to be a really interesting situation. It's almost going to be like a battle of chicken. Who's going to make the first move? Because this is Phase 8. Phase 9 goes right dead in the center of this. Both Tempo Storm and the Rumblers are right on the edges of the blue.
All right, Zampa's starting to get a little bit more frisky off of this. Does spot out critical motion. So now it is a straight 4v4. Couple of shots going back over towards the smoke, seeing if maybe they can get a lucky down. It's going to be the Rumblers trying to move in. No cover left to work with right now. Trying to figure out, okay, how do we make this push back through it? It's all about utility right now. And Rumblers haven't had to do a lot of rotations yet, so they should still have a lot to work with. So just going to keep throwing those down, creeping closer and closer towards that center point, seeing if maybe they can get a little bit more control. But here's the thing, Tempo Storm also can use these smokes, go for these repositions. So they're using the utility that Rumblers are throwing down right now to try to find new angles. Notice Zampa's playing along the edge, way off towards the north. Does manage to spot out an angle onto one, but that's an exchange back on both sides, so down to 3 on both. Looking back over towards this, Zampa's trying to line up more shots onto it, just gonna go ahead and flush that out. Rumblers are starting to feel the push, too many different angles. Nice spray coming out from Waldo, but now we've got Cherry Poppins on the outside, and Maluke's gonna follow it up. We got Rumblers and a lot of trouble. Waldo still playing inside the smokes, right towards the center of the circle, but 2 members of Tempo Storm are down. Zampa's making the push along one side. Smokes are starting to dissipate. That means he's going to lose his cover. It's all about listening to footsteps. Nice assumption on where he might be. Grenade's going to go out a little bit wide. Waldo's going to step up, and that's just going to hand the victory over to Tempo Storm.
Great job by Tempo Storm. That they're at the end controlling the flanks. You could see Waldo and Cherry Poppin kept trying to get on the left-hand side of Tempo Storm, but the smokes were there to cover that angle. So Tempo Storm is able to rotate north, control that area, get a few knocks, and give themselves the chicken dinner.
Luke walking away with 4 kills. The Rumblers, 3 different players sitting on 3 kills. That's going to be Microfly following it up with 2 kills of his own. But I got to give it out to Critical Motion. Vendetta was in a lot of trouble very early. He somehow managed to just sneak around different parts of that circle and stay alive for so long.
I mean, it's a very undervalued skill in competitive PUBG. Being a player who can find ways to eke out points you have no business getting, especially in those positions.
I've got to say it. I have to. It's in my heart right now. Tempo Storm first, Rumblers second, Genesis fourth, and Lazarus coming in 6th. Feels good.
Tell you what, they've been playing very well today. You know, I talked to the Rumblers a lot last night. The guys are really cool. They're very nice, very personable. And they have nothing but confidence. There is no doubt in their mind that they don't have a shot at this.
Well, we keep hearing about, like, you know, playing with like house money. They're just coming in last minute. But I feel like that's the way Rumblers likes to play. They like to play least pressure possible. Just go in, do what they do best, and that's just make pushes. Be aggressive. Don't be afraid to take the shot. And that's the way that this whole event is working out. If you have the confidence to go for it, it is absolutely big. And we can see teams like Tempo Storm playing a similar style. They're not I would say Tempo Storm, I would expect more kills out of them with their play style, but they just keep having to not move much, and it's hard to get kills when everybody else is killing each other on the edge of the circle.
Well, even when the circle doesn't favor the Rumblers, they do a good job. They found themselves in the late game situation in the previous game. Yeah, this time the circle was much more in their favor. They didn't have to move too much. But the previous round, they had to go all the way to the other side of the map, and they were still able to find a way to make it work.
Look at everybody trying to be serious while Zampa's got the smiles on. But with this, we got a breakdown we got to hear about. So analysts, take it away.
That's right. Thunder and Lightning does exemplify the top 2 as there is a storm a-rumbling in that top 2 spots. And overall, we said it at the top of the show, this is the house that Tempo Storm built here for the OGN Super Arena. And what a victory for them after getting themselves a 4th place in the previous game that they arguably should have done even better in as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically back-to-back games where we sort of saw the end game determined by a fight between Tempo and Rumblers. This time they actually did it for the #1 position. I do want to say, for me, though, this was a big game for the Rumblers. They got 11 kills despite not winning. And I'm go as far as to say they rescued Tempo Storm. There was that moment when Vendetta had Tempo Storm dead to rights, and Waldo got that sort of knock on them that opened up the chance for Tempo to rotate. That was just, I mean, that was a great game. And
I'll tell you the key point to why Tempo Storm actually won this game. When we saw that hard shift going to the east side, all the teams, almost all the teams, went straight for the vehicles and just bomb rushed to the center. Tempo Storm, they were just walking into the center, to the edge. They were taking it easy because they knew that everybody was going to go center. So we'll just play where there's most area to play with and work our way in.
Let's take a look at those highlights here because, of course, at the beginning of this game, there was a lot to talk about when it comes to our circles shifting here and there. And the shifts overall, Avenger, were strenuous on a lot of these teams.
I gotta say, I love these kind of circles.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a curveball that these guys throw. All this, the migration, the great migration basically to the eastern side. There's so many great macro plays. It was amazing.
I haven't seen traffic like this since I drove on the 405, man. It was non-stop. It was Fury Road. People went out. We even lost my Dark Horse GEX during that rotation. It was really tough for them. And then we end up in the cluster at Milta Power.
Look, I have no idea what the 405 is, but I'm guessing there's a lot of vehicles on that highway or whatever it is.
That's what we drove on last night for like 45 minutes. To go 10
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's close.
This was amazing to see, though. Gustav spotted him early on, but he was waiting. He waited for Na'Vi to get closer so his teammates could get into position and just blast him down.
Easiest 4 kills of Rory's life, right?
And you know what? I'm actually sure that Rumblers would not have had such an easy time if we didn't see Michael get knocked or knock one, so they could actually breach together. That was very unfortunate. Overall, TSM, a great game again here. They're really showing this. They decided to go in another spot. Iroh is kind of in the open there, but overall, really well played by Rumblers. They got a lot of kills away from this game.
They had a little bit of a misfortune just before this happened, and I think Michael ran over Gustav or vice versa. And that stopped the rotation a little bit. Else they would both be on rotation at the same time and could have gone another way.
I mean, I love those nades by Los. He basically naded the first spot, didn't get the kill, and was like, well, there's only one other place you can be, and eliminates them to defend Little Power.
And Tempo Storm will be able to pick themselves up game number 3 here for PGC Groups A and B. Fantastic stuff from them after getting the 4th place in the previous game. They rack themselves up the win and 7 kills. Let's take a look at those points coming in.
After that game, you never see Maluk smile, but when that game ended, he was smiling like a lion standing over his prey. I wonder if that signals that this is a big push for Tempo, that confidence.
And also, Sampa was smiling for the 2 other guys. He was smiling all the way up to the ears, so the other 2 guys didn't need to smile. But they're happy. It's good to see. All extremely well played, extremely well executed for them to breach. They took all these positions, reposition again, and overtook all those important compounds right there.
Got a bit ahead of myself. We're not looking at the points just yet. We're looking at how the playing went, and obviously that circle then hits the other side, and then only 35% of the circle was playable. That was good.
Na'Vi and Gen G jumped out early and then went out early because that was a very tough rotation to come from that north side of the island.
Here's where we see Tempo Storm moving on foot because they knew there's no rush to get into the center. We might as well just take our time, let everybody else have the fun. We'll just clean up everything else, all the mess afterwards.
I mean, they bopped across the map. That's what they do when that circle goes towards power. They know they're going to be the last to arrive, coming all the way from Gatka. So they do sort of play that edge. They make sure everybody else moves, and they executed this perfectly, opened out into the field, and they played this unlike the last fight they had with Rumblers. They spread out, they looked for flanks, and they owned space instead of pushing as a spear.
There were some moments, though, for the Rumblers that looked very scary for Tempo Storm. Specifically, I think it was Waldo straight through one of those smokes.
That was amazing. Amazing smoke. Totally blind, but spot on right there. Spot on with that spray. And I mean, he was on the verge of clutching it, but I think it was Luke who threw the nade in the end there and actually baiting the last member of Rumblers to actually stand up to reveal his position.
I mean, essentially, when the nade went off, they all went, well, we know exactly where he is. And both guns just trained on the one spot he's laying. You'll see it right here. He says, well, I guess I push now. And both teams are just waiting. They're both guys just waiting for him.
For him, he's got to be scared as well. Once he sees it bounce next to him, he's like, how much further is that going to go? I have to try and move eventually.
It was literally just behind him. So when you hear the land, you have to move.
Get up and go.
Yeah.
Rather die on your feet than live on your feet than die on your stomach. Right?
Thanks, Froz. It's time to look at the points coming in. 17 points apiece here for the Rumblers and Tempo Storm up towards top. TSM, though, still 10 kills,
Yeah.
still sneaking it in despite not getting the placement points.
Well, they got 1 placement point, but that's
Thanks,
enough.
pros.
Getting the 10 kills, that means 11 in total. I mean, they were already on the top. This would just keep them climbing even higher.
I mean, they'll maintain first. I think Rumblers will move up into second. Tempo will probably breach the top 5, if not climb higher on this one. This was a very big game for those two North American teams. Lazarus still coming in fourth is a big call out for them, as you heard sort of Matt talk about earlier.
Bit of an unfortunate situation for Na'Vi. 0 points there after they were already up towards the top.
They got a little bit wet out there, but
And also, they started up in Sarky. Like,
Very
it's
difficult.
It's the hardest rotation you can possibly do. 2 mil to power, so they have to take a bill.
Overall points, we have TSM in 39 points up towards the top. However, the Rumblers and Tempo Storm have allowed those last 2 games to propel themselves up towards the leaderboard.
And I've got bad news. Rumblers specifically plays better on Miramar, not Sandhawk. Terrible at Sandhawk. They're gonna fall a little bit probably in the next one. Prove me wrong, boys, but so far, historically, not a Sandhawk team.
well, I spent some time talking with the Rumblers yesterday when we were going through VODs and stuff.
Sure.
And basically, they know they're terrible on,
so
on
bad.
Sandhawk.
Okay.
Literally terrible. They don't get any points, more or less.
They're taking
But-
us a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Literally, they told me yesterday, all right, we're going to go much more aggressive. We're going to try to get a few
Yeah.
kills at least. Even if we get 1 or 2 kills, that's 2 points, and that's what we need from Sandhawk.
Well,
Nothing else.
gentlemen, we have an opportunity here at the PGC. We are going to do a little listen-in with one of our teams, and then we'll join you in just a second.
Nice.
I'm dead. No, I'm not. I'm safe. I'm getting shot from far left. I need a medic. I'm sticking a med right now, boys.
Hey.
We have smokes.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm smoking the right off. I'm grabbing smokes from this body.
There's one peeking out,
Nate, to the
southeast.
right, careful.
One's moving left. I can kill him.
I see him.
He's hard challenging.
Knocked him.
Nice.
The right guy got me.
I went.
Nate,
to the
right.
bush.
Careful, Luke. I'm needing.
There's one moving left or right open again. Yeah, left.
He's right. I lost with trees. One bullet.
The guy's right in the open. He's knocked. Nice.
Right guy.
It's southwest.
I
southeast.
lit him.
Nice.
One up.
One
I
up.
need heal. He's right on the other side of this smoke.
Play
I need
slow,
heal.
Luke.
Okay, please play slow.
I'm crawling. I'm gonna try and crawl
I have
for
one
info.
bullet.
Sharp, start calling for info.
Okay.
I'm throwing a nade. Where do you think he is?
He's on that smoke,
Right on the
southeast,
smoke in
southeast.
front of me. East of me.
I'm gonna crawl in front of you,
You
Luke.
have a nade?
Nade,
That should
just
be
look
nice
for
nade.
He's prone in the
He's
middle
prone,
of the field to the left a little bit.
Let's
Nice.
go,
Let's
baby.
go.
And those were the final moments there from TSM as they were calling everything. A lot of
Tempo
information.
Storm.
Tempo Storm.
Sorry. Tempo
man.
Storm.
The
A
bias is
I don't know
revealed.
why. I actually did that in the other group. Anyway, so a lot of information very, very quickly from Tempo Storm there, and even identifying exactly where that last target was very quickly, Avenger.
Overall, like, efficient communication is key to win here. It came down to a 2 versus 2 and then to a 2 versus 1. So all the time giving info and also feeding information to the other guy, saying crawl for info, crawl for info. So if you're knocked, you're trying to call for information. You don't try to deny yourself because you're already knocked. So if you manage to get information that is crucial to get you the win, that's just amazing. So
You could-
nice micro from these guys.
You can also hear how they were calling out, all right, I need to med. That means don't peek right now.
Yeah,
I need to med up, then we peek together. So if one of us goes down, the other one can trade that straight away.
Yeah, very cool.
I mean, it was nice to hear that for a team that whenever you see them in the interviews or the after shots, they're always sort of trying to be serious. It's fun to hear that passion come out
Yeah.
during that play. I mean, Sharky, who is generally, I mean, he's either trash talking or pretty quiet. Like, he was fired up in that moment. And that's what I want to see is when Tempo is passionate, when they're in game and their comms are fired, that's when they perform. So I think they've got a good momentum for today.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Have you ever wondered at home what it looks like if Martin was driving a Maserati? Well, you don't need to, because all you need to do is pick yourself up a HyperX SSD, which is sponsored here for the PGC, and that's just about as fast as well. We're heading over to the commentator team for all of the action here for more.
Thank you so much, analyst. And here we go, making our way over towards Sanhok, where everything gets just a little bit more interesting. We get the violence a little bit earlier, rotations get a little bit rougher, and man, it's just an uphill battle for a lot of these teams as we are moving into our 4th game of the day.
Well, here is a chance to reset for some of these teams that are in the bottom half. It has been a rough Erangel for some of them, especially teams like, and I hate to say this, Gen G and OGN Entis Force both only putting up 5 points in 3 games across Erangel, a map that especially for Gen G is considered to be their best.
I gotta say, these guys we're looking at right now, TSM, they are impressive on this international stage. I don't know what power-up happened between PEL to now, but it just feels like they are so much more comfortable, so much more in charge, and it feels like they're just in control of their destiny at this point. The tournament just feels every single time you think that they're in a bad spot, they find a way out of it. And I love to see that from them.
And even when they're not in bad spots, they put themselves in good spots and they're disciplined. They wait for their moments to strike. They know when they have the advantage in a fight and they aggressively take it. There is no holds bar. Once the battle begins, they are going in and they're going to pick up whatever they can.
Tempo Storm, we just heard probably the calmest comms I've ever heard from Tempo Storm. They tend to get a little bit aggressive inside there. GEX had themselves a big performance in one of the earlier rounds, looking to duplicate it, but I gotta feel like the way that these in-game circles are going with how violent they are, I don't know if it fits into GEX's strategy.
Well, the good news for GEX, I think, is we're moving over to Sandhawk, and they're a team that has really gotten here based on their ability to frag. So this is a map where you definitely have potential to do that as things get really hot on this map. Very, very quick. The plane path coming out here. We are starting over the north by Camp Bravo, heading across the boot camp and ending up by the ruins.
A lot of early drops coming through Sun Sister. We see them very regularly play up towards the north. They really like that cow area and have been able to get some very interesting kills based off of that positioning. A lot of teams going to opt towards center because that's the way Sandhawk just tends to go. Fight for the center early, and then you don't have to fight as much late.
Well, I was saying earlier to Toffees that I think by using the gambler's fallacy here that the circle might go northwest because we haven't had one yet. So that's where I expect this might go. That's total just illogicalness, but you know, that's what I feel like is going to happen.
Whenever we see a circle go towards that northwestern island, everybody knows that general location that it's going to end at, and it is a mad dash of violence, death, and destruction to get to that point. A lot of people like to play those high ground positions. Tempo Storm coming in, going to drop back down on Painan, which looks like people were thinking about contesting it, but it's all going to end up Tempo Storm.
All right, we have got infantry heading way south towards Sanmi. Rumblers have got the ruins here, and then you've got Entis Force spreading out along the southern coast over by the cave. Navi is spreading out around the quarry. Entis Ace to the east of them. And there is your circle. Pretty much dead center. Looks like we're not going to get a crazy one this time, Matt.
Nothing too nuts coming out of this. Usually that area around GEX and Navi, that tends to be one of the centralized points just due to how the rivers come through. It's going to force the circles to go along those paths. So GEX find themselves in a very comfortable position in the very early part of this game, but they kind of went to a lower loot location. So curious on if they're going to have enough tools to really make it through the late game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the loot is good on Sandhawk, and you can make some of these, you know, smaller compounds work if you're one person in them. But GX is a 2-2 split right now. Really curious to see what's going to happen.
Speaking of splits, look at this aggressive split coming out from TSM. Full building complexes per person. These guys right now are spread about a kilometer, maybe a kilometer, 200 meters across different parts and even different islands right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're controlling that Three Rivers area, which a lot of teams kind of say might be one of the best spots to drop on the map.
It's my personal favorite. Whenever you're dropping in squads, I feel like it is so strong. You can rotate anywhere you want, and you can kill anybody that's going to be rotating where you want to go.
Yeah, it can work very, very well. I'm curious to see how Genesis is going to approach this from boot camp, if they're just going to let teams kind of come over there, because they're the ones in control of that southern area of the northwestern island. Otherwise, most teams are probably going to start centering up pretty quickly.
We're back over here around Ruins, which is, I swear, I want to see a Ruins ending in competitive so badly. I would just love to see this area, just the highest level of play, get used. Don't see it happen too often just because of how close it is to a lot of these coastlines. But looks like Sting Divine go ahead and going to start their rotation inside of a vehicle, which is sometimes good, sometimes terrible on Sandhawk.
Yeah, those tuk-tuks are, you're just hoping to get from one place to another quickly with them and then never hopefully having to use it again. They are very exposed and very slow and don't drive very well off-road. They're basically one of the worst vehicles.
Well, when you're on Sandhawk, you can have anybody behind any tree, in any bush, at any given time. So just rolling up quite loudly in vehicles is almost a death sentence. So you'll see them get used for the first couple of circles, and then only if absolutely required. Now look at this. TSM knows Genesis likes to rotate early and are moving along this roadside where they're going to be weakest because there's no cover. If they wait, they're going to see Nerf and K-Mine cross this position and look at the separation from TSM. This could just be free points depending on how Genesis plays this.
I can tell you what, TSM of all the teams I've seen today, has done their homework the most. They are getting the 100%. They are setting the curve here today. I have seen them just know where other teams and players are going to be. They are just miles ahead.
We told you, whenever you use the vehicles, it's just sending up a flag saying, this is where I'm at right now. Genesis made the rotation over with Prof, and you can see QM looking back down towards this. Genesis making a little bit of a push in vehicles is going to get them the space away from TSM, but QM has that high ground control on these hills and are just being very patient with it.
Yeah, it looks like right now QM isn't interested in engaging this Genesis team just yet, but they're going to be patient and wait. You can see Profi has a pretty good idea that somebody's going to be up on that hill, as is, you know, kind of expected up on the hills on Sandhawk. Usually there's a team on almost all of them if they can be, trying to get that information up there. H-Win pushing ahead in his truck, coming up on the bottom side of QM.
This is going to be so dangerous for Genesis. They are right up in QM's face. Coming up back behind them is going to be TSM. TSM looks like they were trying to maybe set a potential trap. Instead, it's just going to go ahead and play along the coastline. It's all about Genesis rotation right now and how potentially dangerous it could be. Way off in the distance, though, we can see it's going to be Vendetta and Lazarus setting up a trap of their own right now, seeing if anybody's going to be playing along this bridge. It could be Vendetta that's going to opt into going, surely everybody's already gone to the safe zone. Nobody wants to be playing along the edge. And that's where the trap that Lazarus has set up. They've got one on the bridge. They've got one in the high ground. It's just up and waiting for it. And here we go. It's going to be the push from Vendetta.
While this fight is about to break out, there's a really interesting rotation coming out from VC, taking 3 boats along the north side. But we have a fight potentially about to roll on here from Vendetta and Lazarus.
Look at Purdy Curdy's positioning. This is awareness that people are probably not going to be coming in vehicles because it would be absolute death if somebody ran over him right now. So instead, playing back behind those wrecked cars, has a nice sightline on if a vehicle comes through. But being on foot, he's going to hear these footsteps really early, and he's just going to be the deadliest jack-in-the-box on the face of the earth. Vendetta all in a line, pushing right up next to him. They're all going to line up. The sprays come through. There's one. There's a second. Purdy does go down, but then it's going to be everybody else from Lazarus just doing so much damage to Vendetta. Grenade's going to come out. That should easily connect up into him. They get wiped down. That's 3 off of it, and now it is just one member of Vendetta, and he is like, what the hell just happened?
A perfect grenade there from Uncivil. Purdy Curdy still knocked, but it is just non-reg, the lone member for Vendetta, stuck behind the truck. And here comes Luke over the side, seeing if he can find the angle onto non-reg. The tire is big enough. Oh, a grenade is going to be good.
And
down
there we
goes
go.
Vendetta.
Vendetta out. This is way I like to see this map played. Do your research, figure out where people are moving at, set the traps, and get the kills. That is all intelligence and homework right there.
I'm not gonna lie, in game number 2, I wanted a team to do what Lazarus just did to Vendetta to TSM, because that bridge was left alone. Everybody knew TSM was down there, and here, as I was talking about, VC out in the blue on boats.
Where are you going, VC? There is no part of this ocean right now that is inside the safe zone. They've already passed by the rivers. They're going to go up next to Cal, and that's going to be about it. But they still have to make about 500 meters to push back down in the safe zone. Look at them way up towards the north. New circle does pop. Everybody is pretty much centralized, so not a lot of big rotations coming in, except for VC, who still has a way to go.
Domu went even further. VC must be feeling pretty confident in the amount of heals they have available to weather the storm outside of the circle. So I'm really curious to see how they enter this and how this one's going to play out for them. There's still plenty of time. We're only in phase 2. The circle isn't really that painful. I've seen plenty of teams come through this late into the circles and actually manage to win games.
We're not going to see a lot of deaths at this stage right now. We're just in the way the circle is set. But this is the attrition battle that we talk about so much. Getting rid of armor, getting rid of helmets, making people burn through meds, getting a couple of knocks onto people so that way whenever they get knocked, they bleed out even faster. Oh my God, did we just see somebody go down to the blue zone from VC?
Yep, Summer, so it wasn't quite as, as nice of a trip for VC as I maybe thought. They didn't quite have enough health, or maybe Summer just mistimed a heal there. We're gonna kind of see if they're able to get the revive on him.
So here's the problem with Lazarus's plan. They got the kills, great. They have 4 points they're sitting on, so they're in a comfortable position. The problem now comes into play. The circle was due center on the last circle, and we saw how many teams don't even have to move. That means that Lazarus is going to be one of the latest comers into the circle and is going to have to run and gun into any position that they want to go for.
Well, they might opt to take the compound that's to the southwest of the Paradise Resort. Nobody's in there right now. I can see Alo crouching up. You can see there on the top left-hand corner of your screen. Alo is moving up there. It's a little bit of a challenging position at times. If a team rotates out of Paradise on top of you, they've got the high ground. Quite a good position to have against you, but it's not probably going to happen unless the circle shifts way left.
All right, so we got Gen G, who's very comfortable hanging out inside of Paradise Resort, just kind of kicking back and enjoying everything that the resort has to offer right now. No real conflicts coming up, except for maybe Lazarus. That's an interesting little hop that I don't think that anybody is expecting ever.
Lazarus changed directions here, thinking maybe Paradise might be left because it's one of the bigger compounds and people don't typically stick in those for very long unless they absolutely have to.
I've heard of bunny hopping in games, but I don't think this is what they mean. Just getting, but I mean, it's a good spot to get more information. Lazarus making their push over. The downside with it is, for as much time as he's sitting there spamming that space bar, he didn't spot anybody that was actually pushing up close to their building.
Luke 12 has moved up pretty close, but I don't think any of the members of Gen G have heard him or spotted him out yet. Kind of keep our eyes on that situation, see how that one unfolds. If it does unfold, Lazarus might just pull off completely.
You say that, but this is Lazarus. We just talked about how they love to do research and know how teams are going to move. I almost feel like they might be having the inklings of setting up another trap depending on how rotations go through. Based off of their position right now, it feels like they're in a very contained point back over towards Paradise. Tempo Storm, I mean, they're sitting in a really good spot right now. Don't really have to worry about moving maybe for the next couple of circles, but look at the neighborhood around them. Tempo Storm is, I mean, this is high quality real estate right now.
Yeah, right at the crossroads of 3 different roads there. So that's a nice little spot to have for themselves. See how the next circle shifts. VC has managed to make it into the circle. I just want to point this out. Way up on the northeastern side, you can see Sun Sister does get a sight line onto them. They are able to get the res onto Summer, get him back up and running. So now they're moving in, and they found themselves a nice little corner up there.
You mentioned Stems and everything. New Circle does pop, and it's going to go back down towards Sting Divine. A little bit of Quarry still in play. Our teams that are back over towards the west are going to have to go for those repositions. Gen G's PO, you can already see, is kind of separated out, got himself a foothold for the rest of his team. But now a little bit more aggression coming out from Forces. They're just going to use a vehicle to haul right over that road that's going to be the open spot right into rocks. I like that. It's very risky. They hopped in the vehicle for just a second, but now they have to be so cautious. So many firing angles are coming back down towards them. Tempo Storm's taking shots on one side, Navi on the other one. Forces found themselves in a 4-way fight, and it's just Smoke's utility, and everybody is getting wiped out.
This is not what Force wanted. Kale was cooking a grenade when he got knocked. It got onto Indigo, and then another nice grenade comes out, gets Doya, so it is just Sungjong left here for Force, and Navi is pushing.
Tempo Storm's also doing an outside push onto this. Zampa does go down from shots from K-Mine. Really, this fight is all instigated off of that vehicle push and drawing so much attention. Now everybody has realized, hey, we're so close, let's take the shots back towards each other. We do have a doozy making his way across these different buildings. They get the inside track over towards it, so you can see they've got the wall. Looking back, everybody else that you're looking at right now is not inside the safe zone and has to walk along this path. Force does get eliminated at this stage, but now it's all about Navi and how long they can hold this line against so many teams that could be pushing along this path.
Navi has busted up one team. They are potentially looking to get into another. Tempo Storm is outside of the circle. If Navi pushes up just a little bit more to the north, they're going to be able to set up a nice gatekeep onto Tempo Storm, but Genesis and QM are waiting in the wings on the northern side.
Lazarus is trying to make a position play, looking back down towards TSM right now. They've got the road in between them, but you can see TSM is actually inside the safe zone. Genji's pushing off inside of this. Navi still looking back over towards Tempo Storm. It's going to be follow-up shots. Look at that. That's 1, 2. Insta flushes back over towards it. 2 points going back over. Tempo Storm and a little bit of trouble. Grenade's going to come out, pushing right up next to where he thinks Sharp Shot's going to be at, but that's not going to be the rock quite yet, but it's going to be third-party shots. Sharp Shot has nowhere to go. He's just trying to matrix his way around all these bullets coming at so many different angles.
There's only so much he can do. Smokes are coming down, but he is very, very weak. Zampa's trying to get out. Ahead, go Zampa, go! He's taking a little bit of damage, but I think he's able to get out safely.
But he's running right up next to where GEX is at. Sharp Shot's now by himself, and Navi knows that. Beautiful shot coming up from Sharp Shot. Navi still trying to make the push up, starting to think better about it now. Sharp Shot pulls out the grenade, knows where the push comes, expecting maybe a peek back around that angle, trying to see if anything's gonna line up, but no, now we still see the angles being pushed out. A Sharp Shot shots out in the blue, trying to polish this off, at least get a point for it. So there you go. For all that trouble, a lot still coming his way as Genesis K-Mine think about getting involved as well, but the blue zone forcing everybody to start backing away from it. Just a random spray through smoke connects for a little bit of damage, and there we go. Sharp shot does go down as the new circle pops.
What's even crazier is 2 crates have dropped right in between Genesis and Navi. This might force a fight between these over this utility. H-Win landing a couple shots with his QBU, but he is going to back off a little bit as Navi is still able to push a little bit forward.
QM.
Genesis wants to get the high ground.
QM is back behind this, and it's going to be Zampa taking the shots back over towards QM. That slows their approach. Profi does go down inside of the exchange as well. Zampa not wanting to just sit this one out and play quietly. He wants to get some of these kills, trying to figure out exactly what's going on around him. He actually is the closest towards the safe zone, so everybody's going to have to run up next to him. Opts for the flashbang, knows where Nerf is at. It's going to be pretty close for it, but Nerf's going to retreat away. QM now pushing around the other side of this. Nerf has to play along the rocks as he did get blinded.
Yeah, Nerf got stunned up a little bit there. Another one up and over from Zampa, but he looks like he's using that just to buy time. It looks like he is just going to try to go for potentially a few more points, set up somewhere where he's going to be unexpected.
There's nowhere to go. I mean, look, every single angle out of this position has a team on it, and he is just stuck here.
Oh, it's terrible.
So,
it's absolutely terrible.
He's got GEX back behind him that's not moving. Navi on another angle. Genesis on another. QM pushing over next to TSM. TSM being patient. Actually, it's going to be QM that gets the first sight line back over towards this, and that's going to be one of the members from Genesis going down as well as one from TSM as QM is making their push up the side of this. Now we've got H-Win trying to look back over, trying to get Yeezy. Getting the shots onto it. Does connect. Got to be very cautious on this as now he's giving away his position, trying to make it back over towards his teammate Nerf. Looks like he's managed to carve out a little bit of path, but Zampa still being a thorn in their side.
All right, the circle has shifted east, so all these teams, there is about 5 or 6 of them on the western side of all of this. They are trying to get through. It is TSM 3 strong. They just are maybe going to bump into Lazarus a little bit here. Lazarus got busted up by VC and were forced out of their northern position over here. Gen G was guarding the compound, so they had to swing all the way around into the waiting arms of TSM.
TSM saw that grenade, trying to figure out where it's going to be coming from. So that's going to be Genesis going down. TSM looking back down towards Lazarus. It's going to be GEX taking the shots, forcing them to go back down into this low ground position. So now 2 teams could be approaching on the same path. Iroh's trying to prep the grenade. Some shots to go through, and that's going to be Alo that knocks him down. He's got to be very cautious as Roy is trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this push through there? And Purdy actually using the smokes to step up into it.
All right, we are back over with Navi, looking pretty familiar with some of that terrain on the bottom side that they saw on their win on Sanhok the other day. Now, it has shifted a little bit north of there, but they were able to take advantage of that early position very, very well. Now putting some shots into infantry. They are going to get the finish onto Longsker, and now the circle goes way west now.
So TSM was caught up in that fight with Lazarus, and a lot of exchange going on, but Genji's going to be following up back behind it. You can see Navi still holding the angle, seeing how this is going to push through. Alos looking back, knows. Grenade's going to bounce up ahead of him, tries to get away, but no, that's going to go back over towards Pio. Genji in a good position right now, starting to get control over the north.
Great move here by Genji to make sure that that entire northwest part of the circle is clear. They know that there isn't anything directly north of them. It was just the west that was a question. They come through, get Alo out of the way, and now they're able to move up. Pio and Loki heading out ahead. There is TSM Gustav and one member of GEX up here.
When we talk about mutually assured destruction points, this is what we're looking at right now. Sun Sister can't move because VC's there, and VC can't move because Sun Sister's there. So now it's just time to make the run and gun push through it. Gabba trying to see if he's got an angle back over towards it. Rock eats the first bullet, but he does manage to get the down back over towards Tide. Domo's looking back up onto this angle. Sun Sister does have the trap up and prepared, and Gabba takes a ton of damage on that peak and thinks better about it.
What a shot by Domu. He was very ready for that, and that is going to take Gabba down in the blue. It was just enough that he wasn't able to survive it. Back over here, infantry making an aggressive rotation. Best and the others of Navi are here waiting. They get 1, they get 2. Infantry is down.
Poor infantry, they just cannot make it in the safe zone. So now we're down to 18-21 alive. I say that, we lose VC off of that right now. So now you can see the repositions coming through. We've got everybody down on that mini-map. Sun Sister coming up back behind it, but Jin Ji having a nice split, has not bumped into TSM's Gustav yet. That's just right along this hillside next to him.
All right, another gut check moment here for Gen G. They've got to come up and over this hill. Gex is pretty far out there, so they're not going to see each other necessarily unless Leo pushes up way over this hill. I want to see what Gen G wants to do. Are they going to try to take this ridge? They want to control the high ground as much as they possibly can. Yes, indeed. They're just going to push right over here. Leo is on the ground. I don't think anyone really knows for sure that he's there. And Leo is going to get the headshot of the Loki, but Pio is going to find him. But immediately, Chaiwei takes advantage of that.
A lot of damage back on both of these squads. You can see Gen G is trying to hold the high ground, see exactly what's going on next to him. Don't forget that we do have Gustav that hears that's happening. He might pop up at any given moment. Sophia's playing the low ground, looking back over towards Leo, maybe thinking about going for this. Grenades going out on a different angle off of this, coming up for Gen G. They still have their 3 members trying to figure out, okay, is it safe to go for this res? They're trying to stick and get a little bit more space. Chaiwei being more aggressive, starting to push back over towards angle. Spots out one, doesn't get the down onto him, trying to connect off of it, but no, that's going to come up back over in Gen G's favor, and now that's going to be GEX getting eliminated.
A great cross by Loki right in front of Taming. Taming didn't know where that member of GEX was. Loki heard it, saw it, went for it, but Loki is going to get knocked by Gustav. Gustav just gets the knock and gets out of dodge, seeing if he can finish it off. He's going to roll around, actually, trying to get the flank on a Gen G.
TSM knows the fact that they don't have a lot of kills. They want to get more points at this stage. So instead, going on the hunt. Gonna spot out one, goes for the spray back over towards it, and that's going to be another not going over towards TSM. Can he capitalize off of a weakened Gen G? The res does come through. It's going to be Pio going for the low angle. Nice exchange coming back from Gustav. Drops him, goes for another one. Gustav does finally go down, but so much damage done to Gen G.
What a push by Gustav, almost 4v1ing Gen G by himself. That just shows how on fire TSM is right now.
We've got Na'Vi. 8 kills back down towards the southwest. They heard that exchange. Looking back over towards Gen G. Loki's like, what do I do right now? Trying to figure out, does he go for the reses off of it? That's going to be a couple of shots going back over towards Sun Sister as Sting Divine still holding down the complex right in the middle of the circle. But Na'Vi on the hunt.
Yeah, Na'Vi wants to clean up what Gustav started. It is going to be Senya and Best coming up over the hill. Esther is going to be able to be revived here by Loki. So it is going to be 2 members of Gen G left. And of course, Divine has an amazing position. They have the central compound in the circle. Coming up, Senya. Loki's going to outduel him. Best is going to get Esther. So it is a 1v1 on the western side. Big moment here for Gen G. They really need these extra points.
Molotov thrown down to get a little bit more space off of it. Loki realizes it's too hot. It's too dangerous. Retreating back away from this, just looking towards a safe point, playing back behind the rock as they're just trying to get a little bit more information back over where Na'Vi is at. But that's going to be back up to 3 men strong for Na'Vi right now. And Loki feel like he's just contained out of this. Unless something comes up to distract Na'Vi, he's as good as dead.
All right, so they're going to exchange kills there. Aduzi comes in a little bit later on in this, but it looks like they're going to move over into the circle, try to guard the angle, not let Loki in. Divine is just looking to pick apart whichever team comes through to get those extra kills.
And they know, okay, there's a team down in those complexes. We do not want to push that angle back towards it. Looks like Sting Divine finally does spot out Loki. He takes a little bit more damage. I've got to worry, how much more meds do we see coming out from Loki? He's got near on nothing to work with at this point. But shots going back over towards Na'Vi. That's going to be one of them down. And it's going to be a follow-up with Gen G going down in third. Sting Divine's got the low ground, just looking back up towards it, making a little bit more of aggressive push. Aduzi's trying to see if he can get any angle back over towards it, but there's nowhere to go. The blue just forces it down, and that's got to be Sting Divine walking away with 7 kills and a round win.
Not much going on for Sting Divine until the very end. They just found a nice compound, held it down very well, come through with 7 kills despite all that. So doing a good job of picking off people as they were given the opportunities to do so.
We've been talking a lot about TSM, and they have been showcasing a lot of stuff today, but I feel like we need to talk about Na'Vi a little bit more. These guys are being real aggressive, coming out the gate with so many kills inside that last game. I believe it's 10 kills that they walked away with?
Yeah, looks like 10 kills there for Na'Vi. They were excellent. They have been really good on Sandhawk. They know when to take fights. They maneuver very well. They position themselves incredibly well. I was really impressed with them so far this tournament.
And Sun Sister, they didn't walk away with a ton of kills, but we've seen them go for position. That's the way that they like to play. So out of the top 5, we talked about 3 of them, and I made sure to wait and save the last 2 for you because I know you want to talk about them. Coming up in 3rd place, that's going to be Gen G.
Gen G looked better, but I'm still not convinced. I want to see just more solid play. I want to see them take fights that they think they can win. What seems to be the name of the game right now is third partying. We're seeing this with Na'Vi. We're seeing with TSM. It is just having the confidence in your players to frag that is winning matches.
Well, I've got confidence in our analyst desk, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to them. You guys take it away.
That's right. Sting Divine get themselves the win, and just like a normal, loving father that Clinton is, hard on the Korean region, despite them doing all right. 7 kills, 3rd place. It's not good enough for Clinton there, it seems. And but Sting Divine get themselves 7 kills on the board with the win. The Circles very heavily favored them when it came to that game, though.
I mean, it happens, right? Like, you can't
We
take
saw that
away
with Navi as well in the game. They won.
That's true.
I mean, the thing was, even though they
give them
got the
love.
circle, they had to hold down a really big compound there.
Yeah.
And they did a 1-1-1 split, basically, 1 in each corner. And that's a little bit risky at the same time, because if one of them just gets a headshot and get knocked, it's a 90-degree opening for any team to just like come in.
Let's take a look at the highlights here for Sandhawk. Our one game of Sandhawk for the day. And of course, it's a quarry circle.
Oh,
There was a massacre.
You know, we didn't need to see that again.
I think we did.
I think we did. I think we did. Xenax came over immediately like, no, how are you going to do it
Look
just
at
like
this.
that? Perfect. Such a good nade.
I mean, no one's going to expect anyone to lay down there just after the bridge ends.
Yeah, that's fair.
In the open as well.
And the triple nade. I love they were crawling in unison. It was
Oh,
awesome.
nice. 4x spray from Besselodge.
And then North America, as we jump into Tempo Storm here, all 4 teams go out one after another. 13th, 12th, 11th, and 10th.
This knock, though. This knock.
It's nice.
Such a good knock.
Are you saying that placement was a restoration to normality? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. We joked about Rumblers not being good at this map. They got
They
0.
got 0 points.
Lazarus got 5 at least, so they picked up some points on those rotations, but that's pretty common for them. They play this map okay.
Sure.
But NA, man, not great for them.
Hey, it was a rough game, but at the same time, we're only playing once.
Yeah.
So we got to
Thank
move on to
goodness.
Miramar, and they can do better there.
Yeah, definitely so. Taking a look at some of these final moments as well. Since this had a hard time getting into this final circle, I even saw Crazy Sam doing a crazy 360 trying
Look
to
at
jump
this
in.
goose up.
He almost does it. Oh, it's so
Almost,
beautiful.
yeah.
Crazy.
Watch. Just give him the moment.
Nice knock. One more. Oh my god, if he pre-fired that, he would have. It's just one more shot. And he
It went wide, but it's not bad as well.
No.
But anyway, Sting Divine winning the game.
Yep, and they had
Nice.
11 points before this, guys. So they're gonna be jumping up. They're gonna be looking so much better. And yeah, while you guys laugh,
it was
talk to myself.
Frost is blistering analysis.
No. Frost, keep going.
Here's the match results from Game 4 of the semis. Sting Divine getting 17 points, and follow-up is Navi with 15 points. Third place, Genji to get himself 12 points with 7 kills, but it's not good enough in Clinton's book.
Frost, keep going.
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good. Oh, sorry. God. Navi needed that after a really bad last game. I'm trying so hard to stay. After a really bad last match, this is a good point total for them, and they had to fight their way there, so to give them a confidence boost.
Yeah.
Navi has, honestly, for me, been playing a little anemic in a lot of ways. It just seems like the team's not, like, clicking, and maybe this is what they need, that shot in the arm to get them going.
It does bear repeat. Of course, we've had our memes, we've had our NA versus EU, we've had all of this stuff going down, but some of the teams that we expected to do well coming in have not done that well. As you can see to the top, we've already discussed these teams very heavily. Let's focus on our attention on the lower teams here. OG Atlanta Force has had a disaster of a day so far compared to what I guess a lot of us expect to see from them.
I mean, Force came in as a potential favorite here, and they're getting absolutely dumpstered. Vendetta, another team that dominated their region coming in qualifiers, said, we've got this in the bag, has a rough start, and just can't get caught up. Both these teams, I think, is the same story. They started slow, and they just can't get their feet back under them.
Infantry's a little bit crippled. They only got 3 players here right now, so
Yes.
it's a little bit more understanding that this down there, but at the same time, they got themselves 4 points in this previous game here. That boosted them up a little bit at least.
Genji, another team that we wanted to see some big things out of. They are significantly, I mean, the break between 13th and 14th is radical, to say the least.
Yeah.
Genji on the struggle, QM as well. Genesis, kind of a surprise there, but you remember what they did in their group stages. They definitely are a Miramar team in terms of turning on the late game.
And I think that's what we're going to see from them as well. They're going to be turning on these 2 last games, and they're going to be jumping in on the left side of the leaderboard, which is obviously the more advantageous one, but it's very, like, it's a little bit top heavy, but it's really linear all the way down. I didn't expect it to be that kind of even. Obviously, we have our 3 bottom fraggers, or what we can call them.
Sure.
But everything else is extremely linear. There's 5 points from 8th and down to 13th, so it's really close still.
But the bottom 3 teams right now, with the gap that is currently in existence, are the 3 teams that have to be very concerned about the future. We are, in theory, only losing 4 teams per group. Of course, it's not exactly as easy as that because it's an entire 24-team group. But 6, 5, and 5 points after 4 games, in fact.
And Infantry and Ensis Force, they actually needed to have a good start here because they are playing tomorrow as well.
Yes.
So if they're looking at being kind of mid-pack after tomorrow, then they're going to be having the whole last day where they're not able to get any points, and then they're going to be looking at everybody else taking them over.
One thing to take away is that Force and Genesis, they're basically sharing Pachinki on Erangel. They Genesis is taking south side while Force is taking north side.
Yeah.
But it's not working out for either of them. So one of them got to do something because they're going to play each other tomorrow as well. They're in the same group.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to go to a break here for PGC. Of course, and brought to you in part by NVIDIA GeForce. So a big thank you for them for partnering with us here for the PGC. When we return, we're going to the desert. It's Miramar. It's 2 games. We'll see you in a few.
Exclusive black equalizer brightens dark scenes without overexposing bright areas. Color Vibrance allows for more realistic and vibrant colors. It also provides the convenience to tune colors in-game, making you see the change instantly.
It's always great to see the eye tracking software giving us a bit of extra detail as to what's going on.
so sweat for battle. This is more than just a game. Breaking through the silence, it's time to stand up. Listen to the fear, it's time to rise up. Now is the moment, now is the time to win or die. To win or die. To win or die. The moment you want so bad. Stand united. Rise up to the sky. The enemy is here. We win or die. We win or die. Win or die. To win or die. The moment you want so bad. Stand united.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. It has been quite the day so far, but it is far from over. We still have 2 more games to go, and I am back here. Finally made it out. Had to, put some European blood back into this after Liquid, went out a little early.
Damn.
But
it's not even 10 seconds, man.
I'm sorry. But enough about me. I'm obviously joined by this man, and we have a tantalizing prospect in front of us. We've had a lot of Erangel, a little bit of Sanok, but now we've got Miramar, whole different beast here.
Things could potentially switch up. Things could potentially completely change on the leaderboard. That's the weird and wonderful thing about PUBG that we enjoy seeing. But for the top 4 that are currently on our screens, for them, this is a chance to hold their position, leave this first day feeling good and feeling on a high note.
And that's the thing of this, isn't it? Those semi-finals, it's not just about one day. It matters going on and forward. Those points build. Now, we've seen the performances on Erangel. We've seen who's good. We've seen who's delivered. Your eyes can't turn away from TSM. You can't look past Tempo. Na'Vi suddenly showing a little bit more fire in the opening games. And the Rumblers, never to be doubted. But can that apply to Miramar? It's a different beast altogether.
For all of the top 4 currently, there is a lot on the line. I mean, hell, you look at TSM, they're currently in the No Classics Club. They've not been to a major event as such. They need to get a good placement on the board. If there ever a time and a place to do it, it'd be a championship like now. We are moving into Miramar, but you look also towards the other 3 teams that are in that top 4. Tempo, 11th and 12th at the last Classic they attended. Na'Vi did pretty damn well. They picked up a 3rd placement. They've got a bronze medal in the cabinet, but they want more. The Rumblers, well, this is the absolute godsend of a story. You unfortunately don't get the teams here due to travel issues. You bring these boys in. The Finn, the big man loss, he boots out Liquid on their last game. And now they are coming into this, and they are 4th. This is an amazing performance for them.
Now, I just want to highlight, I'm sure you guys might have noticed, with those with the keen eyes, 64 players back in the game. That means we have Lin joining us back for infantry. They're up to 4 men, so he's putting on a brave face here, getting himself back in the matchup. You can tell how much this means to these players. It's all on the line. This is what they've been fighting for months, building into these moments, into these games, for every chance for your team and your region. And now we find out Miramar, we're going from north to south with a slight east lean on it. Who's benefiting from this? Whose drop might have a bit of a challenge? It's first time we're going to see some of these potential contested spots. Who's close by? Eyes are on a swivel here.
Playing up, players down. Divine at the moment, taking a look around. We don't have much of a contest down here. We will be in the south toward the darker side of the mountains and the foothills. Turtle's off on his own, but that's fine. He'll find his shell and just hunker down for dear love and look for where this circle comes. The Rumblers, just above them, Kumasera, could be the objective should they have to transfer up towards the north. The circle is favorable down this neck of the woods. I'm seeing shots already. Buliang get a bit of a warning from Sharky. This has kind of gone the way of Tempo. Time and time again, they do make it down to these latter stages of the circles.
Sharky, make my day.
If anybody can do it, the marksman who can, it would have to be Sharky. There's not many people who can hit. Oh God, and for good reason. Buliang's actually hiding. Please come and collect me, infantry. I mean, let's be real. You can't, without question, losing a player unfortunately has ended them up where they're down at the bottom end of the leaderboards. But now they're back to a full 4. What can they do with 2 games to go?
I mean, they fought valiantly so far in my eyes. To come back into this with 3 and pick up where they were, credit to them. Let's see how far they can take it. They're not where my mind's going. I'm looking towards those top teams again and seeing how their positions now reside. Obviously, Tempo Storm, wonderful spot for them. Under the assumption they don't lose a player early if they're too spread out. I don't think that's going to be a problem here, unless maybe TSM was near you, because these guys are like rabid dogs. They'll just hunt you down. They are not within this circle, and that's something I want us to talk about. How well are these teams going to play into this? Do you think Na'Vi are a million miles away here?
They are, but you know what? They're a bit of a Miramar team. We've seen them do wonderful things before coming down from La Cobarere, and this time you won't have other teams that are pressuring them and applying too much. There may be, it's again, it all depends which way they go. They take the western road and come all the way down and swing it, but you have the likes of 1,000,001 teams that are going to be coasting the western edge. The problem is if they go towards the north and then come down through the east, it all depends on what Sun Sister decides they want to do. From Junkyards onwards on that side of the circle, it's very desolate, it's very open, it's very broken. Not many teams should be there, but other teams might have the same thought process. You know what? This circle, this center part, will be heavily contested. Let's play edge, let's play it slow. And this is where you get these teams who are essentially just border patrol. Perfect,
and I'm glad we're seeing this kill ranking here, because normally I don't get too excited by TSM on Miramar, and maybe that's my own fault there. Maybe they have a little more to show, because it has been a different team we're seeing this time. But their killing ability is terrifying. Iroh, Rory up there. He's not been your heavy fragger normally, but now he's absolutely smashing it. Gustav's up there. It's all of them are towards the top. Now, Michael's not exactly far behind either. He's just sitting with the big boys down below, like Sharky's down there, Micro Fry. Again, scary to see whether or not that can convert here. I feel their game plan, their game style, will it apply to Miramar? That's the question for me. Beyond that, though, they do have Lazarus quite close by, but they're on the move already. We are seeing earlier and earlier rotations, people setting those markers for those quick moves to get into those prime positions.
Well, when we look towards the groups for TSM, they're actually in the top 4. Essentially, if you want to put it this way, the worst ranked team. 11.5 on placement, an only average of around 3 kills. It's not great, but if you're feeling it, if the confidence is there, you know, I mean, usually it's the Milkman Michael himself that's the one that's stepping up big for this team. He's yet really to show his hand on what he's fully capable of, whether or not he's taking a different role for this event, whether or not he's been either the entry fragger, the more of the support role. The man can frag, but whatever's happening with TSM, hell, keep doing it. They are putting points on the board, and it's coming down to killing.
Okay, we're starting to see those teams converging towards a more centralized area northeast of Los Leones. You do have Tempo Storm there, you have Enter's Force over there, and they're starting to pester, and we are seeing a couple of these teams getting very close by.
Indigo did take a peek this way, so whether or not they got the
That's a third
word of
party
warning,
from the hill.
it is.
Oh, no, it's not. It's a 2-2 split.
Yeah, they're going to read the information here. You can already see Xiongyan is going to potentially... Oh, my God, the third
That's
party.
the third party. And that's on towards Enters. So they were the ones keeping the other team compressed, not allowing them to move further forward and stay defined to this ditch. So they backed away. But if Enters overstep, there's the punish.
Entus get a lifeline in the fact that QM have been pressured away by their sisters over on the opposing side now. The team is this 2-2 scenario, so they can defend one another. The problem is for Entus, they are completely disconnected. There's nowhere for them to eject themselves from this building, because if they do, Tempo Storm's going to have an absolute field day with them. When you've got Sharky with any kind of level of guns, or any of them to be fair, that are going to be holding the minis, because the minis are so unforgiving on this map. You can just spam that thing for days and eventually take them down. Doesn't matter how many bullets you hit, so provided you hit a few and take enough that your teammate can pick it up, it's going to get the job done. And this is exactly why QM are just advancing and say, you know what, let's not take this fight, let's reposition and find somewhere better.
Now let's keep in mind all the other teams are slowly converging towards this area. TSM aren't that far from maybe line of sight towards Genesis, for example. They could maybe even look far over towards the teams we were just witnessing. So there is that now extra factor of danger. You shoot, someone's folding towards you. We've seen this now. Teams are willing to fight.
But this is why TSM is specifically going in a very, very wide split. All four players individually just rotating. They will be in the same line and convergence, but still separated apart so they can multitask and look for a decent foothold in this circle. Eventually we will pull away from water, given circle 4, but for now, just find somewhere decent. Don't die. Don't give up any useless deaths on rotation. As you can see from Wu Feng's POV, that might be easier said than done, because there's always enemies lurking on the hillsides of Miramar.
There certainly is. Now, the northern side is getting slightly busy with those rotations. Teams are still far apart. Keep in mind, it is Miramar. Even though it looks quite close by, there is a lot of cover. The terrain plays a huge element in this. It allows for these rotations. But if teams get greedy, they get complacent, they don't scout correctly, they'll lose players here. So we'll see if all those teams on the extremities make it in safely. It looks like we're almost there, and we have kept 64 alive, so no one getting picked up early.
We didn't actually get the conversions of the two northern teams. Na'Vi decided to send it on the western side of the circle. We said that was a possible option for them. Thankfully, Gen G went all the way down south, but same did the Rumblers. The problem is, that could have happened, coulda, woulda, shoulda. The Sun Sisters, they did take that northern path. They went all the way to the east. VC still lingering and kicking it around there, so that's completely blocked off now. The northern edge is gone.
Look at TSM split. The 2-1-1, it's pretty brazen, if I'm honest. Na'Vi, if they could isolate or find Gustav, he is under some form of threat, if that's the case. I think for now he's far enough away, but it's information. Again, all this info is being completely filtered through to the rest of his team. If it does move in, let's say, a westerly fashion, if it shifts away, they've got a good picture. Now, I want to see how Na'Vi approach this. They also like quite a wide spread on this one. They'll take their time, though. I think Na'Vi, for me, even though they have been doing well, they still don't look like the scary Na'Vi to me yet.
It's getting there. It's starting to warm up, and I think
build.
that comes from going back, looking at the VODs. If there's a team that can, it's Na'Vi. We saw from phase 1 of PEL. God, I mean, it's a totally different team altogether, but they were nothing. They were absolutely trash, and there's no nicer way of turning it around. But speaking of turning it around, they literally picked up some new players. Then all of a sudden, we're seeing at the top of the table. There are kinks in the armor, in the fact that if you see teams being aggressive on them, if you see teams that are lingering around them, I personally feel they really hurt under pressure. I mean, Gen G, I think it was Friday, was quite literally bullying Bestaloch in the fact that he was running away and being chased down. Any other time we'd personally see him, we'd be like, you know what? I have an AKM. Let's have a fight. Let's have a crack. But no, with certain scenarios like this, they have been bullied.
Yeah, we need to see where this goes. Rumblers are working their way in on the south as well. We haven't seen too much from them yet, and this is the shift, southern shift. Big move 6. This keeps in Leones, and people do not like to play that city. It's a last resort. It doesn't often go there, but it could. Who now becomes the king of the hill? Who gets that best jump-off spot to get those prime compounds? I'm seeing maybe 2 or 3 teams who get a really good shot at this, potentially 4, because, well, Gen G, just in the south there, so much room.
This is where you have to look towards your IGL, but this more importantly has to look towards teams where they will be. Transfer will come through. I'll hold for a second.
Profi's gone, hold on. Big pickup from TSM. They've been getting the info and they're going to find it. This is a bit of a quick setup. It feels like TSM know exactly when to hit the gas and when to relax and when to play for positioning. So far, they've caught 1 on rotation. They've had to slow down a little, though. That will slow them on the push up towards Los Leones. Now, on the east, it's a different affair. It's busy. Not many are swinging on that western safer approach. That east next road heading down the coast has now got 2 teams en route. You have so many others with potential vision.
Grenade comes through. That's the warning one. You can't miss those. If you know where the player is, you've got to crack on for it. Flashbang will go up. There might be some sort of advancement here, but the rest of Tempo Storm, they'll go flying by. Miluk, unfortunately, is left to deal with the oncoming assault potentially from the back. The heals are up, and they're good for now. Max HP will come through, but Longsker is an absolute fragger in himself. Individually skilled. This will be a decent fight. It's only a one-on-one, but it's easy points for one team.
If the other 3 can get their attention, I don't think Luke's got any idea he's going to be there. And now, yeah, there it is. Instant pickup. Surely a flush to follow. I don't think his team can save him. There is a trade, but it's on the other side. That's Zampa trying to make the play towards the compound. Got to be careful on those nades. Now he's going to decide to do it. But Infantry are kind of split up here. They're a little bit dangerous in that regard. It's hard to pin down all of them. But they've got Lin now bleeding by the wayside. Barely welcome back into the matchup as Infantry try and avenge their fallen teammate, but Zampa's found cover.
I would say I like this. It was a good time to collapse. Sharpshot's actually, they've not been kept in track of. He's been allowed to stay on top of the hill, which has done the damage. Get the whole overside of this. But now Joy, it's not joyful for any of the teams that are going to be below this, because unfortunately, that's 3 points for them. You mentioned third party. All that noise and all that racket, it's essentially drawn the attention of the team sitting on the hillside.
And look at this perfect angle to work with. It's so deadly for either side. Now they can't be safe from each other without exposing themselves to Enter's ace up on the perfect high ground. This now is going to pin them in. This is going to slow down Tempo Storm's potential aggression to sweeping things out, clearing how they'd like to. It makes things all a little bit trickier.
The bigger picture for Enter's ace behind them, all on this right-hand side of Los Leones, we have this mountainside that the circle physically cannot end on. This basically creates a bottleneck. They can play spoiler. Obviously, depends on where the circle goes, but should it shrink to the center, they have full safety behind them. They can just hold center circle and nobody can kill them from behind or flank them.
So as you can see, Ender's ace were on the west side of the Tempo Storm fight, but on the east was Vendetta. So as soon as they tried to move away from one side, the others caught them. They've got such good vision. Everyone is so aware. As soon as you shoot your gun, as you said, they'll pile in. They see potential. Any sort of weakness, it's going to be taken away from you. Now, TSM did take their time on rotations, but they were coming in from the Los Leones side, the western side of it. So they may get a little bit more time, but there is a team behind them. And quite a scary team at that. That could be a bit of information for Gustav here. Got to be careful. Does make it away.
Tell you what, if the circle goes south, Na'Vi are well in with a chance of winning this.
Look at Gen G split.
I'm glad you touched on it. Gen G are literally next to her. Now, given this scenario, next circle we move away from water. It will try and fit into as much as humanly possible. So this is a good chance for all these teams down south. Get to that middle road. There is a road that runs straight through the valleys. Find the houses on there. It gives you a really good foothold to overview teams that want to come up to you and makes it difficult for them to be attacked like castles.
Rory spots Leo out. Gonna peel away from this. Maybe not a clean enough fight that they'd want. Maybe not feeling they can get that execution as clean as they'd like, and it's gonna slow them down. They need to think about their rotation to circle. What do they do in this?
I think you have to disconnect from this altogether. You're kind of wasting time. Unless you can get this kill and hit the world and pick up the point, then fair play, lads. Why not? Carry on the onslaught, TSM. But there is a response, and this slows them down further. They are the furthest from the circle now. Everybody else is getting set up. There's not a lot of room in that circle, and when they arrive, they could be in trouble. Boys, you have to weigh this up. This could cost you in the next 5 minutes of the game when you want to try and advance to somewhere decent.
They do know it's the quieter side as such. They do know that. And now Iroh has been an animal for TSM today, but we are seeing Gen G come into their own. That's not surprising. Their position was paramount. They've taken the ideal compound. They should thrive. As is Iroh, and another kill gets added to the list. But beyond that, Gen G continuing to rack up the kills, continuing to get those points, and they hold the best compound here.
And that was Entus on top of the hill. They were still lingering and looking towards Tempo Storm's side. Now for Tempo Storm, let's just touch on it. They did eliminate Infantry. Infantry went down in 16th place. Tempo could have the fight of their life. They're battered, they're bruised, they're ever so slightly weak, and they've lost a man. Lazarus is directly in front of them on the northern edge of the circle.
Now, keep in mind, Genesis are holding quite the edge here. They could catch the remnants of that TSM fight. They are way over in towards that western side, Na'Vi in the south, so this is going to be a hard one for everyone involved. Tempo Storm, Lazarus only steps away now, a couple of ridges between, but on Miramar, that could mean the difference. Sharky, is he aware? Oh, he's going to spot one of them, but Alo's way closer. Trade instant, Zampa goes down. Tempo Storm are already in battles. They're already weakened. I think they're down to 3 here. This could be the killing blow. Luke 12 going to claim Zampa's life, but the nade is perfect towards Sharky. I don't see him making it out of this one alive. They have no engage. The utility is being brought down. Wait, TSM! What has
Levi's.
happened?
Well, yeah, okay, and this is what you mentioned earlier on about taking a really good, strong foothold in the map. They arrived late, and STV was already set up for them. They got punished from the battles earlier on that all 3 players have gone just like that instantly.
Well, I mean, if you look at the other team who was out there, GEX, they've really suffered a similar fate. They ran in towards Genesis. There was no easy rotation route. And we said, was that fight the right choice for them in Los Leones? That may have cost them a chance, and it may have been a slim one.
Tempo Storm, unfortunately. They were together as a 3-man stack, which when you're wandering through the outskirts of the hills, that's generally what you want to do. But Lazarus, I think it was a complete unbeknown situation for them. They were split, and they had so much more viewership on them. They could hit them from multiple angles. Essentially, on North America, once again, knocking the hell out of each other time and time again. These teams do, generally speaking, rotate along the same patch. They get a feel for how things go, and it's sometimes a detriment to the league that you get a little bit more repetitive. It ends up in scenarios like that where you do butt heads. This time around, the 2 teams, one of them does get knocked out. It is Tempo. We're down to 13. Central Road, what I was speaking about during the last 2 rotations, is still pretty clear. Gen G, they are laughing.
Gen G, as soon as you see that compound, you know it's a stronghold. GEX, again, it's a struggling time for them. They had so much pressure early. They never had time to come in. I thought that was going to be on the other side. I thought Genesis was maybe going to find that, but it was Na'Vi. Good points for them, just slowly building, getting themselves in, working slowly in the southern approach. But the problem is, I feel for me, when you look at Na'Vi, their final boss would be potentially Gen G. I don't know if they can rotate southeast, because you do have the Rumblers down there, and they've been quiet, but they're a deadly team when they start popping off.
Oh, no.
That was the pull-up.
It's a murder. It's an absolute murder.
Look.
And you know what? I will say this. Fair credit for actually holding...
That was one clip.
Yeah, tooth and nail to eliminate them all like that.
That's not safe for broadcast, that sort of stuff. A little bit filthy. Northern side, incredibly compact. The south side gets controlled by Gen G's compound, so it's very hard to play yourself in. That open field is just a safe territory for them. Yes, you can prone in it, but you don't want to be at this point. 13 teams, 45 players, someone's going to spot you. This next circle is going to be incredibly polarizing. North and south, that road is going to divide many of these teams.
2-2 for Na'Vi. These 2 on your screen currently are outside the circle. 2 forward, Doozy and Bestalot. They'll get a better foothold here for Na'Vi if anyone wants to make an aggressive push, like you saw with TSM. Trying to find a good foothold within a circle is so vital and pivotal, which is how they're handling this one now. They'll play spoiler and hold these people back to the blue, try and pick up a few points. Need to be very aware that Nerth is encroaching on this position. Should he overstep his boundaries, Na'Vi will punish him because there's no revive available. 2 of his teammates have been held dead to rights on the road just towards the north. GEX has gone. Free point for Na'Vi, job done. Could have opted to give it up to the blue, but not enough time.
And the one thing I love, the teams who are currently sat in 3rd and 4th are basically on the same side of the map here. You've got Na'Vi and the Rumblers both waiting in the south. So this could be a huge game for both of these teams. This could be a big jump-up spot. With Tempo Storm down, this could be a nice little move up into 2nd for one of these 2. Certainly has room for it if, again, we see a Rumbler big game. That northern side looks like a powder keg waiting to go off. There's so many teams just about staying in this here.
There is a very strong position on this map. And it kind of bumps between, well, to be fair, it's the center of the circle. Gen G, given the fact that they have the God compounds, no one really else has anything strong towards the middle. There are no real areas that you can hide in from a distance, which people will struggle to get towards you when we talk about attacking a compound. They've got Loki, who's disconnected from the team as well, to hold the little mini compounds down and further afoot. I'll hold for now because Vendetta, unfortunately, the punishment just keeps on going 2 back-to-back like that.
Look at Purdy Curdy's positioning. Look at Luke 12's positioning. They still held the edge of this valley of death for Vendetta at the moment. The push still continues. Luke 12 at the helm of this, and there must be something bittersweet about it for him. But Critical on the other side could be in real danger, trying to fall away. Edge with the off angle. Oh, big turnaround with the headshot. That AK coming in paramount for him.
They're not punishing the Lauren. He's got no health. They should be going up there to end his rampage.
Back. Look at Critical's position. They can't push. He'll see them. And there it is. Purdy Curdy receives punishment, but he outdoes his opponent. Now Edge still alive, going to wrap the hillside, try and find an angle. Uncivil aware and does the better job. It's going to be Lazarus surviving, and Vendetta falls down in 12th.
Mentioned a problem that may occur here for Genesis. Hitchwin did go down, but they've got him on the feet. The problem is they are completely miles away from this one. STV, they've gone for the pull-up. They can't get inside. The grenades are there. Turtle has absolutely no health whatsoever. And if Na'Vi push this, well, they're dead, done, and dusted.
Turtle is just about alive. It's by a prayer at this point. Aduzi going to go on the wrap, trying to find that next angle to ensure he can't back away from this, can't get that revive. And he's caught up. God, he didn't expect to see the Bush Wookie there, but Aduzi does what Aduzi does. Deals with it well. 4 kills already, 4 players alive. And Na'Vi starting to come alive here. They've taken over the bigger part of the Gen G compound as well.
Because they've moved forward. That's fantastic work. To
Exactly.
consolidate like that and get yourself... It's a smaller area to deny, but you can't approach it. Without approaching in a vehicle, there's no way to attack those buildings. And because at the front and back side, you have the road, it's completely open, it's completely sparse. It's going to be a difficult one. When you look towards a hangar where Na'Vi is, it's extremely open from multiple angles of attack. I really want to touch on Aduzi's play, though, to push that so aggressively, to deny anyone a chance to either get a res, get back to full health. It's fantastic work because you know you have your friends in the back who are with you to get the revive if needed.
And you can see Aduzi. I love the way he's watching this. One, he's keeping tab on the middle of the minimap there, checks back down, checks on towards everything that he can, keeps in mind everything that's going on. But then he's also watching the skyline, see if anyone's silhouetting towards the top side of that hill, see if anyone's over there, checking again the direction. Obviously on a player's screen you have, you know, the north, east, south. It's got the numbers on it. He's pushing it now. This is all good gameplay. Genesis making the mad run for it. Smoke wall is up. Can it save them?
Goes down in the smoke. There'll be no more to essentially get enough pieces of the dead man running. They're still outside of the wide, and when they come off the back of this, they have Enter's Force to deal with. I don't really know how many smokes they've got left in the tank, Lauren. That's a lot committed, and that's a helmet missing off H-Win as well.
That shot on the cross was absolute filth. Nerf's going to try and get back down to cover. I don't know if that's going to... Those smokes are fading, K-Mind. He's a brave man to go for this.
Out of harm's way,
I think he might be just safe. Well, we'll find out in about 2 seconds.
It's here. It's hungry.
Sure, he's a lucky boy, Nerf. Run, boy, run. You are lucky to be alive. And Genesis, where's the cover? Where can they go? Where are these headshots coming from? Taemin, it's an animal.
No, they're all dying and they're all dead. No health, no helmet, and no more Genesis in the server, unfortunately.
Aduzi's making a quick play up as well towards Genesis here. He's already tried to get the foot in towards the next position. We do see that northern fight continuing and beginning even further with Lazarus starting to try and control the north, trying to get some territory they need it. And they're only down to 3, but you can see Purdy Curdy instantly looking at these hillsides. Where is that next player going to come from? Where's that next position going to be threatened? Because he doesn't have the full image. You can see when the players have full info or when they don't, and that's him just trying to keep in mind who's around them. Look how passive they're being. They're trying to get the heals off. They're trying to get themselves somewhat safe here, but it's not easy.
Just so you're aware, in the back, Enter's Ace is setting up a really good position and using vehicles to give themselves a bit of a roadblock. They're inside a crevice of a river, which basically stops anyone coming across the road and approaching them from one side, and then they can let the rest of the teams look up the hill towards Enter's Force. Lazarus, who at the moment, by the way, are on a bit of a tear. That's another team gone at the hands of them. Sun Sisters do need to make an approach. Lazarus doesn't need to bite off more than they can handle here, though, Lauren, because there's 2 teams waiting.
But they have a nice piece of high ground. You really want to exploit that. You want to get these points, and they're going to. As long as they don't overpeak, Alo needs to be really careful to not overdo this, because that's a headshot that could come through. Backs away, stays alive, but barely.
Enter's Force is moving on Enter's Ace's position.
Gen G just got a knock. Hold on, Na'Vi are moving in towards Gen G. This is the Battle of the South going off as well. Aduzi leading the charge at the forefront for his side. The nades start to rain in, and Gen G need to be prepared for the CIS storm that's coming their way.
Senya's going for the off angle, but he might be too little too late.
He's going!
The hour at the doors gets himself stuck in. Sunshine needs to get this knock now. In the background, Sun Sisters are going down. There's a big Mansa fight just going on in the north and the central. We have Enter's Force versus Enter's Ace, but now B, they need to get Gen G out of this if they want to get across that road.
Time is ticking. Blues moving in. They've got to keep that in mind, and they know they've got a countdown on this. Gen G can disengage. It looks like they might be considering it. Loki might just take them down. He might try and just be the knife in the back to slow Na'Vi, to stop them rotating. Senya considering an off angle. Can he maybe catch them on the way out? Bestloch, Pokemolodoi back on their feet. It's time to move. It's time to make the play.
Loki's just lobbed the nade out. Whether it does any damage or not, it's a different question altogether. They stuck the res to get the 4 men back on the feet, but they can't really get the heal off out the window. Loki sees one. That was Senya. That was the off angle that he was supposed to hold for this entire time. But now, that actually gives Gen G a point to move if they want to do it. There's an avenue of approach towards that road.
Though can still be the final line on this. He's going to find Aduzi. He's going to find Bestaloch. And Gen G stay alive.
And all that comes off the back of removing 1 man. Getting Senya off of your backside opens up the door, lets them out of the building, and they just slap Na'Vi on arrival.
Okay, here's the northern battle. You have Enter's Force northwest. High ground, pretty nice, good position. Middle of it all, Lazarus. fighting everything they can. Hyper-aggression to their east. VC, and then you have a couple of, players still remaining. Sun Sisters still have one. You do have the Rumblers, slow building in the southeast. But look at Entus. Look at the other teams. They're spread out already in the southern side. Gen G are going to have a very tough battle getting across that road. The team playing the ditch has full awareness of this.
So Gen G is going to be battered, but not fully broken yet. They are down a few men. It's going to be a difficult approach across that road. You would assume, unless some kind of God maneuver or God headshot comes through, that they're dead. Once you hit that road, you have all 4 members of Ace staring them down. We move across more towards the northern side of the map. The Rumblers 4 up as well. Rainey's down here from Enter's Ace. He's disconnected from the rest of the team just to keep an eye on them. That's very clever for now. But it's whether or not the other teams want to make an approach. Honestly, I feel that Rumblers just play cleanup duty here and just mop up all the remnants of who's left over from these 3 fights, which could kick off at any time.
Rumblers, they terrify me, these boys. They're such underdogs the way they scrap. They're a scrappy team. Even though they're in 4th, they're still a scrappy side. They're playing from literal low ground. Entus Ace do find Gen G as they make the move, or at least one of them. That's not surprising, but Lazarus catching out VC might be a little bit of a shocker there. Lazarus are playing dirty up in the north. They're holding that high ground. They waited as long as they could, but look who just jumped in their spot.
Really quickly, I want to touch on something else which might just happen here. Enter's Force has flooded the valley, absolutely flooded the valley, and Enter's Ace has to rally. They're also moving towards the Rumblers. We have 2 fights on 2 different fronts. Ace, Rumblers down south. Force have just wrapped. Good catch on that one. Lazarus could have caught them off guard, so they must have seen them.
I think it's slow info. They must have just found out that Lazarus was still up here somehow, and they didn't go on the eastern wrap. Rumblers were waiting for it, but this could be a huge clash. This is 2 teams in the north, and you got the 2 in the south. Good luck, observers. I don't envy you right now. Enters Force, about to find Lazarus. The battle begins. Cherry Poppins, he's not moving for the life of him. Enters Force. Sweep through Lazarus.
Instance, all 3 players back to back to back. Job done. Now you can turn and face. Get your players back off the floor. And watch the next fight that will unfold. The Rumblers, if they can keep 4 alive to go up against Enter's Force, this could be a spicy game for them.
But the push on the low ground's happening. You can see it. You can see the push on the low ground. That's to try and keep Cherry Poppins, Microfy, all of them humble. But I'm looking to see where the Rumblers take this. They have such a cornered position. They have to fight their way out. OG and Enters can just kind of play this, not necessarily... I guess Enter's Force, if you look in the north, can play this however they want. They have high ground. As long as they keep smart cover on the terrain, they're somewhat safe. This battle is far from safe, though. Look at that play already from the Rumblers, finding these filthy little angles that are just going to infuriate the other side.
The Rumblers have to play quick here and deal with them. Because while every second they stay down south, Enter's Force regroups on them and rallies in the north.
Lost HG is already moving center, though. I like this.
That.
Slow creep towards the northern side. Try and get central point. I don't mind that at all.
And for good reason. Force is just cresting all angles of the circle. Once you've dealt with this fight down south, you've got to turn and face. Microfy and Lost HD disconnect from the pack. That's great for them. Keep a track of what's going on, see if they can get any line of sight, because Enter's Force will not shoot here. They will not give away their position whatsoever, unless they can find an easy kill, which they do. And the rest of the team, it rallies and will face them.
But you've got to give credit where it's due towards Enter's Force. The way they're holding is that kind of 2-man hit squad in the middle, the ones that will happily take the fight, and the outskirts watchers. You have 2 players watching the east and the west, ensuring no one can creep up on them or go for those kind of cheekier flanks on the outskirts. That's what the Rumblers are looking for. If they find a weakness, if they find a knock, then it's game back on.
Initial shots will be laid down. Force and Ace knocking each other. Oh.
That's almost the goer. That's what you're waiting on. You're waiting on a knock, otherwise you can't fight them. Again, the Rumblers cannot move until this circle closes or they clear out Enter's Ace in the south.
I'm a little bit concerned that they are staying too hyper-focused on the 2 free points that are down here. Essentially, they could give it up and it'll be a waste of time. I do understand why they need to do it, because once this circle moves, they could run up and stab them in the back. Microfy's position and Lost HD to kind of get a defensive stance and keep a track of what's going on. But Enter's Force has wrapped from north to west. They have completely repositioned, and they might actually sweep up these points in the back.
Yeah, but here we go. That is very bad for the Rumblers. That is a big loss to start with. Trade comes back in. Lost HD got knocked in the meantime. This is looking very bad for the Rumblers. We're down to 2 teams here. Microfry doing what he can. Central point holds it down as best he could. But now you see the rest folding in. Enter's Force sweeping through. But Microfry, given a chance. Would you really want to give him a chance in this? Because now it's just 3 standing. Can he isolate the 1v1s? Can Can he exploit them? No, they hold the line and they hold the win.
From coming into this in 15th place, that's exactly what Enter's Force needed. 18 points in total will do wonders when they only had, unfortunately, a mere 5. We've seen before, hell, through groups. Tempo Storm, they had 2 16th places and a 15th. It's not over until it's over. And that will do so much for their momentum and so much for the points on the board.
You are 100% spot on. We were looking at some of the teams that had to start maybe finding kills, finding placement, ideally finding both. And I'd say Force was one of them. I wanted to see them step up a little bit here. Miramar suited them well. They delivered when it was required. They held that northern territory comfortably, didn't overextend. I got worried if they were going to push 1 by 1, but they held it together. They kept themselves focused. They kept calm. They knew exactly what they had to do.
Many an hour, though. Rumblers. Like, I mean, I suppose when you talk about mentality, when there's nothing to lose and everything to gain, these boys, day by day, as the prize pool increases and they get points, so do their pockets.
I cannot take anything away from the Rumblers. I have enjoyed watching these guys just grow as a team. They look so deadly. I love watching them play. It's just scrappy PUBG, never afraid to take a fight, and they really do follow through with it.
No fear, and it's showing in the gameplay. For some of these teams out with us, unfortunately for them, they've had to go back to the drawing board and see what's what, but good turn and face from Enter's Force.
Well, I can't wait to hear what the desk has to say at the first glimpse of Miramar for today.
And it's also the first sign of life, really, from Force as they were able to pick up themselves a victory, a big victory as well, with 8 kills to boot here. Joining me, I have Toffees, I have Froz, I have Avenger. Gentlemen, Force back on form, back to where they should be when it comes to an overall win with that kind of kill count.
It's a tradition at the OGN Super Arena that at the end of the day we hear Force, and these guys came, they brought the pain, and it's about time. 5 points, I think, total that they'd gotten up to this point or something like that.
Before this game started, yeah.
Exactly. So this is a big push for them from a team that we expected it from the beginning.
You could still see, though, after that win, they were still worried about, like, you can see it in their faces. They're still worried because they know that they only had 5 points coming into this game. Will this be enough? Sure, that will put them up there a little bit higher in the leaderboard, but still one more game to go. They need to do the same thing here.
Let's check out those highlights here from our first game of Miramar of the day. That was match number 5. We have one more match remaining after this. That's us. We're not part of the highlights. There we go.
There it is. Highlight time.
There you go. We're definitely not the highlight, let's be honest.
Oh, man. All right, there's Halo going uphill here up against Tempo Storm. North American violence. It wouldn't be a game of PUBG if it didn't happen at least once. Tempo ends up getting knocked out in 14th place. TSM went out in 15th. Kind of blew some doors open for some teams to play catch-up.
Yeah, I mean, Lazarus, one of the teams, they were going ham, but this one...
This is unfortunate. It's really unexpected to see 3 guys pull up in a car and not be able to take down the one guy that's in the ditch there. But extremely well played by Sting Divine, though.
This was a great shot by Taman.
Yep. The overall Gen G, they held the whole road down really well, but when Na'Vi pushed them in, it ended up costing them a few guys, and they couldn't fight their way into the further kind of zone and push themselves further. But Genesis, though, also got popped out early. They tried to make a push across the road, which is the right play here because they saw where the zone was gonna. They expected where the zone was gonna end. They're crossing the road early because it is the only play.
This is beautiful to watch. How do it? Gen G playing as a teammate. Loki and Esther, 2 guys taking out Na'Vi all by themselves, 1 by 1 there. Ooh.
Big bopping plays there, and we do have OGN Enter's Force finally getting themselves some big points on the board. One of the bigger seeds coming out of PKL has now made their presence very much known as they try and push themselves up the leaderboard.
Big win for them. 18 points is going to help a lot. Other teams deserve shout-outs. Gen G got 8 kills in that game. Not bad. And Lazarus, who we saw get a little stuck at the end, walked away with 11. So really, I think we saw some teams get a chance to really say, hey, Miramar is our map. We're ready to put some comeback points on the board. And I'm excited to see what that does in terms of shake-up in the leaderboard when we get there. For now, I guess we can take a look at where those drops ended up.
For sure, Plane Head starts heading from Oasis down past Los Leones as these drops do continue on. And Avenger, when you were watching kind of the opening stages of this game, it develop, etc., what was jumping out to you?
Obviously, with a southeastern circle like this, you would expect a lot of fights in the north and the western side, obviously, because they're coming in there. But the teams that are making the big rotations, taking that chance there, obviously paid off. So it's nice to see how they're able to come around. But Rumblers, how they're able to go all the way on the southern side and keep the southeastern kind of split, making sure they got into the zone was extremely nice to see. Force, on the other hand, they fought their way in. Same did Lazarus. Nice rotations overall from these guys.
Yeah, as we watch the rotations, I do want to give a shout out to Na'Vi, who dropped the farthest possible spot for the circle, but still managed to get 7 kills on that rotation time. Na'Vi is definitely turning on the heat, and I can't wait to see what happens when they get the circle.
Well, you saw that first game, didn't you?
Yeah, well, that one was like, that was one of those wins where like you just have to sit there, right? So you didn't get to see Na'Vi doing Na'Vi things. Now here's that fight. Entis, Ace, and Rumblers kind of just got into a standoff by the ramp.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of forced, got to sit there and enjoy.
Guy, who gave Entis Ace the digital athletics magnet for the circle? Because it has been slightly prevalent here when it comes to them eventually just sitting around having circles slowly descend on them. This is another game where they got it.
In my opinion, though, here, Rumblers should have made a move on them.
Yes.
They had the knocks, they had the opportunities to do so, and because they didn't, they fell victim to a third party that they could avoid themselves if they made a move on Ace, which was on the road.
Well, they didn't want to push too early, though, because they knew that they had another team on the north. They wanted to make sure that they could hold them out, and you could see that they sent 2 guys up north, holding that out. Loss and Micro, make sure the Force wouldn't push them. Loss even got a knock on one of the Force guys.
Points mean prizes. We have 18 points for OGN and Force up towards the top there. Lazarus with the 11 kills. 15 points going to them and 12 points to the Rumblers yet again. They continue basically to defy expectations of them here in PGC.
I mean, when you've got nothing to lose, you've got everything to gain, and that's what they've been doing. They've been saying, we're just going to go after it, and they're doing it effectively. I don't think these teams know how to handle sort of this chaos. I mean, in that last one, they said, okay, 2 of you handle Ace, two of us handle Force, and a lot of other teams would have hard committed 4 on the push.
Guys, this is 3 second places for Rumblers. In 5 games. That's so insane.
Look,
and they didn't even play Sanhok.
Yeah, imagine Sanhok wasn't in the pool.
Exactly. They're just compensating for the bad plays on Sanhok.
Yeah, and that's what they do. I do want to give a shout out to Ace, though. You said they have magnets, but there's no Ace lull here. These guys are putting up kills every single time, even when they get a circle.
And here are the overall standings here for what is happening so far today.
Wow.
TSM still sits at the top with that 47 points. The Rumblers, though, second place right now with 44 points. They've got to be absolutely beaming from ear to ear with the amount of smiles that could potentially be there. That is fantastic by them.
I mean, I said, when we started this thing, I was like, Rumblers has a good upside. They could catch people off guard, maybe Dark Horse to get to the second round. But if you said they're going to be close to passing TSM on the last game of the day, I would have chuckled softly. Now, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a heartbreak for Infantry Clan in that game, of course. They now do have their full strength 4-man roster still here. And personally, I'm rooting for them for the last game. I want to see them have a fight back here and get some points on the board.
I mean, we're talking a lot about Korean teams, but right now, look at the leaderboard. It's EU, it's NA on the top. Sure, Korea, they are catching up, but they're not really there yet, though.
You say NA on the left. I'm worried about NA on the right. Genesis is a team. We saw them at GLL. They were a favorite to do well there. They felt like they sort of collapsed. It seems like maybe it's happening again. Yes, the rotations have been hard. Yes, they've been chasing the circles. I mean, on the last one, we saw Hwin started chasing a truck, ended chasing the smoke, and finally just ate some lead. But it's been the story of their entire day, and I don't know if they pulled that back in.
And that is the standings as they do sit at the moment. Of course, Frost's big dark horse. Sorry, everybody's dark horse. Everyone's dark horse. GEX there in 9th spot, so they're going to try and push themselves further. I know you're a big fan, Frost. And kind of that wraps things up here for a moment. What we're going to do now is we're going to get, once again, a little treat, a little snippet. We're going to have a listening with OG and Entis Force, and we can kind of bring on their emotions and see how they're able to approach some of these moments.
텐션 낮추자.
시작하게 하자.
에이스 저기 있다.
너만은 기절.
야, 내가 바위까지 가볼게.
에이스 끝. 럼블 지금 기절됐잖아.
바위까지 간다.
럼블 기절됐어.
바로 앞에. 보인다. 바로 앞에 확인. 폭 갔어. 125.
불 남은 거야. 라스 하나. 1번 쪽.
가자. 이거 킬 먹어. 바위.
침착하게. 바위 오른쪽 낮자고 있어. 왼쪽 맞지? 왼쪽만. 오른쪽만 있어.
나이스.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That was perfect communication between them.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I think I learned what push is in Korean during that one.
Pie?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Or that could be push or rock.
One of the two, because he was down. It was like that. Oh, he's gonna flush me! Go, go, go!
I think a lot of energy kind of brought out between all of these players when they're in like one of those kind of tense situations. I'm a big fan of Naisu in many esports that I've covered. Whenever I've been listening to the Korean teams, that is very, very much so on their mind when they do something very good. And I can only agree, it was definitely so. So that is OG and Enter's Force, of course, pushing themselves a little bit up the leaderboard here. They're by no means in a safe spot just yet, though, because of how their previous games went. Avenger. Now this is kind of maybe their chance and shot to push themselves a little bit further.
They need to start this momentum now. If they don't do it, obviously they have tomorrow, but if they're looking at, they could be outside the top 8 tomorrow if some of the other teams in Group C has a good day. So they need to get this started now. They need to continue. They need to get one more good game here so they can start off with a good momentum tomorrow.
But if there's a team that has the ability to do it, it's Force. They have LAN pedigree. They've been through this before. Unlike Ace, where really I think only one of their players sort of has the international LAN pedigree. They're a team that I think had to get out in front pretty early to sort of stay stress-free and play their game. Force, I'm not super stressed. I think they go home, they make plan changes, they come back, and they do really well next time.
I mean, Miramar doesn't seem to be any problem for them.
No, that's true.
Erangel, on the other hand, it's something they need to work on. That is free of the games. That's 50% of the games they're going to be playing there tomorrow. And they need to make sure that becomes much better than today.
And with that, it's final game time. We are going into game 6 of 6 here between A and B as we head over to Pansy and Sims for all of the action once again.
We are still seeing such a dominant top 4 here. I'm so happy to see the Rumblers just pushing themselves a little further here. That does bring a smile to my face. And I want to see if TSM can find their footing here on Miramar. Still in first, but they have to kind of solidify everything.
Tempo no longer in the top 4, but it's by 1 mere point.
It's
call
close.
that placement, call that a frag. No matter which way you look at it, Lazarus up there, and as it was touched on the desk, unfortunately, yet really to show its full hand, its full potential. Korea, it's there. It's lingering in the distance. It's backburning. I think now if Gen G and Hentus Force, they've just kind of opened up and found their footing here. I don't want to say a little bit too late than never because I've still got another full day of it, but you can't have these late play games in a competition like this.
But they're the one region you give a little room on because there's such pedigree.
Yeah.
There is the chance that they step up. I don't think we could put that to any other region just yet. I think we have been proven time and time again that they are incredibly strong. But that will eventually fall away. This was a glimmer of what we expect to come. It wasn't the dominance that we've seen in the past. Now, looking towards the top here, Na'Vi, I still want to see that beast. I want to see it appear. I want to see the terrifying team. I don't want to see them losing basically a 2v4. That is an error being made by any team's account. Senya gets caught off. That's a bad loss. You don't like to see that. Maybe poor timing, maybe not. Whatever it is, you got to fix it.
When your IGL goes down in a scenario where he's the one that has to hold that angle specifically, we didn't see the full picture. For all we know, there was no other possibility and no other route that you could attempt to make to that scenario. But seeing them go down when his job was to hold them and stop any advancement, it creates a barricade, it creates a roadblock. And all of a sudden, Nabi is just mopped up one by one.
Final game of the day. Let's find out who wants to stamp their authority going forward. Who is going to be turning those heads? We know a couple of teams have come out firing on all fronts. But who's willing to join them? Who's willing to put in that last bit of effort, push that a little bit further? It's north to south again. Everything's available. Maybe a reach for some, but it's all to play for.
7 teams above the 30-point mark. And then just below them, we'll see from 23 to 28, 5 teams all locked together head-to-head, separated by a mere few points. Now remember, this isn't initially like the group stages. With them, you had your groups, you then went down to an elimination. With the semis, we play A versus B today, B versus C tomorrow, and then A versus C. When it's all said and done, there's no second chances. 8 of these teams will be going home. We'll be sending 16 to the grand finals in Oakland. It's do or die. You get 12 games, get your points, get your kills, get your placements. Because if you're not in that top 16, you ain't going to the grand finals.
I bloody love this game, Rich.
It's a damn good game, and there are so many scenarios, which is what make it so damn fun to cast and watch.
All right, you guys at home, this is your time. Get involved. Let us know who you think's got this as well. Spam out Twitch chat. I don't care. Let us know who you're backing coming into the final game of the day. The community makes this game incredible, and we get to see the very best of it here. And of course, let's see those drops. Anyone close by, anyone contesting, anyone having early battles potentially. So far, it's pretty busy around Los Leones, to be fair, but I think it's a couple of... Ooh.
Hello.
Okay, northeast we go. And you can see there's almost a line that runs around that kind of, I guess, west to south side. You see VC there was Lazarus there. A couple of the others, I think, potentially Entus. Yeah, they're reaching a little further north here. But Sun Sisters, this is all of their territory.
The interesting point of this one, okay, we do get the odd circle up here, up there, very rarely in Campo Militar. But generally speaking, between the trifecta of Campo Militar, Torre Moada, and Tierra Bronca, you see the circle shifting down. Again, this is all generally speaking, and what we've seen in past... Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no.
Your Uber delivery is almost there,
no.
or any other delivery
Does he have any ammo in that gun?
It's not reloaded.
Oh, okay, there we go. It's come
But
back.
how would you ever think someone's coming in that late? Like, who would ever think... That's...
Songjan's like, I'm so glad you haven't seen me here.
Leave, please leave. I'll take the
Thank
machete
you.
and that's it. I'm fine.
It's like, oh, this is... Oh, no. They've taken my guns.
Oh, my God.
Walking around with the Uzi. Thank
very
you,
lucky.
PUBG. Laughs in Brendan.
Okay, so I'm looking at teams who have interesting points of entry on this one. Na'Vi, that position suddenly becomes so much more viable than it was before. And then you look on the other side of it, Tempo Storm, for example. Both of these teams have the extremity approach. You get a nicer way in than most other circles because not many people are going to go around you because, simply put, you can't. Now, Sun Sister are quite split up here. They're not quite as compact as you'd imagine, and early teams shifting around could maybe pressure some of their individuals.
Well, let's play off the premise that we won't get the circles up towards Militar, Moada, and Bronca, so it will shift down. At the moment, the Sun Sisters, you get another triangle effect with on the roads from where they are looting all the way down to Elazar in the central side of the map. This is basically the strongest place you want to be right now. But you will get the problem that you're seeing on your screens appear. Teams that will be rotating, teams that get kind of picky and scrappy. The gear, it's going to be poor. The guns and all the attachments, the scopes, might not be there. That includes the meds and the bullets as well. There is a bigger game to that. If you want to go early for these positions, by word, you will be trading off on your looting capabilities and the stuff that you have, taking them into later stages of the game.
Hey, look, if I was going to highlight TSM before for their kills, I can't look past Purdy Curdy. This guy putting up numbers, 13 already. Quite lucky for him for now. We do still see a couple of teams towards the further southern side. Actually, quite a great deal of teams. We saw a couple leaning further north early on. Lazarus is certainly one of them. You saw them with a Vector level 1 out, hardly anything to fight with. Hey, I like the Vector, all right? I'm that person, but clearly it's probably not the ideal weapon. Unless they are up close and personal, just stick the gun up their nose. Enter Ace, getting together. Maybe think about rotations now. Where do we take this? How do we work our way out north? They do have a bit of, you know, a fairly decent shot, but again, these early teams who are close by, they've lent north pretty heavily.
There's 3 teams here, Lauren, and this is because of the amount of terrain that you can control here. It's easy to rotate off of. It's hard to push, so there's safety in the buildings that are all around you. There's slight defilades that you can hide off the back of and maybe even make an advancement going outside of the building. This is a prime territory.
Just about gets it, but there's other players nearby. There could be a trade here. Keep your eyes on this, because it's not just him. There we go. VC get found. That was the 2 players towards this. Lazarus stamped their authority, and they stay alive with 4. Not losing a player is massive. That is the paramount compound. That is the king of the hill.
And no one's going to push that now. They know bullets are going down. They know shots and bodies are being dropped. So why would you make an advancement in there? Especially if VC who just lost 2. You can't save anybody. What's the point in giving it up? They're split by the wayside in a 1-1 scenario. 1 by water treatment, 1 all the way in the distance of no man land doing absolutely nothing. Summer's like, well, hell, you've left me in this crap scenario, boys. Tide, get to me and let's see what we can do. TSM, rotation, water treatment, kicking off the backside of it might be their territory. Just have a look forward. The safety from behind it will provide cover to anyone who wants to take the outer extremities in the north. Further down south, it's a more difficult time, I want to say. The rotations, they'll be slow, they'll be playing the outskirts because that center area, again, if we are working off the premise that the northern edge of the circle won't be in play here, everyone's going to be kicking it towards the central side. Hacienda and the roadside extremities of all the kind of buildings that are on those, you have the little oil tankers, you have one of the gas stations. That's going to be a really nice place to work off the back of because it should be coming down.
Now, Lost HD is getting spots out. I'm pretty sure he saw Enter's Ace, or at least I hope he did. Blind as a bat if he didn't, but they'll be on the same road as the Rumblers. And keep in mind, Enter's Ace are the ones on the tear. They're in 6th currently. They did the jump. So if the Rumblers get wind of that, they could certainly hinder that progress. Easy. Makes his way down towards the car. and he's going to have to join the rotations here after scouting the way forward. Even though there is a team ahead, they've got to be a bit cautious about that. Sitting in second, they could be eyeing that first place spot.
Just to make you aware in the... Oh, well, hold on for a second. Infantry looking to pick up a few more points. They need as many as they can.
It's been a tragedy for these boys, and they're pulling. All right, look, move on. Vendetta have yet to get a kill today, if I'm not mistaken. They really do need this. A scary pull-up, though, but they put the pressure on. And there it is. First knock comes in. Big play coming out, but can they get the flush? It should be. It's in the middle of the road. It's the open. He's roadkill at this point, and he does get found. So they do get one on the board. This is good for them. They need something here. It's building blocks at this point.
They've got a kill. That's good. Okay, we started up. You've got another day, boys. Regardless of what happens today, reset, reassemble, reassess. You go away to the drawing board, you see what went wrong. We've seen in PUBG many times that a team can happily, we always say it in Europe, phase Sunday, where they have poor performance on a Friday, and throughout the week they just reset, they come in and they absolutely wreck house. Tempo Storm, completely quiet for them. No one's around here, and just to be aware and let you know, they have picked up a crate while on transfer.
So in my mind, you're looking at the two parallels. Na'Vi, who had the perfect entry on the kind of northwestern side, and you had Tempo Storm in the east. These are my two parallels. I want to see how they do here. Na'Vi have centralized a little more. They've gone a little bit closer towards your Lazarus, your TSM. They're believing in the old water treatment shift, the common shift we see. It's favorable. But is it where they're going to go? Can they even go any further? Maybe they could have gone further north, similar to where Tempo Storm are going.
I'm a little bit worried, Lauren, because Lazarus has decided to completely disconnect themselves into a very wide and far 2-2 split. They need to be aware that there are so many teams lingering. Genesis also joined that trifecta of teams that decided to come to the crossroads area. Once you go up and further into the field where Purdy Curdy and Luke 12 are going, you have Na'Vi, you have TSM, who like to play the water treatment time and time again. But let's not just forget here, you guys might not have seen him just yet, Gen G. After a good performance in the previous round, they might be feeling it, and they are lurking just outside La Cobra area. One player, Pio, out in the blue. The rest of his three teammates looking onwards in the circle. If they get wind of these battles directly in front of them on the western side, they might just think, you know what, we're in the last game, we need kills, let's crack on and get stuck in.
They have to be so careful when they engage. Once they show their hand, it's hard to then proceed forward because you are on the outskirts.
Yeah.
So again, once they strike, it better be to the heart. They can't miss their shot. Let's see where the circle goes. This could be pretty big. It's going to centralize up. It's going to move towards the pack. We do have Tempo Storm out of there. You do have some GX. Genji, of course, outside, SDV in the south, and Infantry slowly working their way in after their player loss. So, again, most teams are currently in the circle.
I want to see Lazarus regroup themselves. This is the circle that we expected. Hit that central area, flush it all the way down to the middle. Yep. And that's why we have absolutely stacked amount of teams already inside the circle, because it's kind of predictable. Lazarus are regrouping. That's great work from them. VC.
It's not a safe regroup, though, because TSM can see this. Rory, at the very least, should be able to see it, I'm pretty sure.
There's an ever so slight decline, which might just be able to give them the cover they need.
I don't know if they could punish it here, as they're considering their own position, TSM. So maybe the timing was right, because Gustav just joined Roy. They 100% could have seen that. But now here comes a third party, maybe. Na'Vi lingering, lurching over the hillside towards TSM. But with these shots ringing out, Senya, he's ringing that dinner bell. Look who's looking hungry behind him.
I'm so glad you touched on it. He is looking around and just being aware. I can see him on the map. He's just checking in. Oh, there we go. He's seen him as if you...
That eyesight!
Oh my God, you've spotted Gen G from this range. Like, that is so big in the fact that now he can feed that information back to the rest of Na'Vi and say, this is where they are. This is who we need to watch out for, or this is who we need to set up and prepare to murder on arrival and pick up the points.
And I want to see where they move here. I want to see what their response actually is. They see a player behind. Okay, where do they go with that? We'll update you, because Tempo Storm are getting into a bit of a scuffle themselves. GX, the moves from Leo. He's got some rather quick feet on that one to get away, to dip away, and that's probably going to be very frustrating towards Tempo Storm, because they're playing a similar position to, let's say, maybe Na'Vi when they're trying to move in towards TSM. Quite similar on polar sides. Tempo Storm, though, getting close to the nades, ambitious, but not quite far enough.
It's a sketchy area of land over here, and Tempo Storm doesn't have a great deal to play with. So for me, once you get a knock on this, it'll be good to see them collapse and take full advantage, and maybe even just completely eliminate GX out of the competition, because this then gives them a bit more breathing room and a bit more land to play with. Right now, They are at the mercy of GX holding
pushing.
them back where everyone else gets set up.
They're pushing this. Look at the line of
They
sight
have to.
Tempo Storm have. They are pushing hard to try and isolate Leo. He's a little vulnerable here. Now he's a lot vulnerable. Look at the takedown on that. Zampa swiftly dispatches of him. And the rest of GX have to fall back here. They have to try and set up their defensive line, but now they've lost out on the high ground where Kane was holding. Now they're having to fall away from this even further and further. Their rest teammates, their other teammate is a mile away. They are now on the back foot.
That might be the first DBS kill we've seen all week.
I think so.
The thing is just, it's like walking around with a battering ram.
It is a little scary to
Even
see
at
kill
range,
feed.
like less than 50 meters to 100 meters, somewhere away with that thing. 4 pellets.
They're out.
Auto shotty will completely smash your skull to pieces. So we know he's lingering. We can't let them now. That's it. Now everyone knows that thing's in play. We can't let them get to the end circle because they're going to win. It's as simple as that. We're level 3 gear in that thing. You are basically a Terminator. Speaking of Terminated, GX might be at the mercy here of the AKM. The third party, though, does hold the gun back for now.
Oh, these guys are getting battered from everywhere. There's no respite. They can't find a second. Kane trying to get off a heal. He does finally get himself back up to full HP. With 7 meds, you kind of hope you get a chance to get one of them off. Finally gets healed up, but now they're sharing the compound, but I guess they're alive at least.
Gen G still playing it real.
Oh. Hello, enters force. Hello?
God, look at how much land they have behind them. That's insane. And this is because everyone committed again to the central side, and then you just get the hard yeet all the way down to the southeast. And then, yeah, the splitters work perfectly. They reconsolidate themselves. They get that compound that is inside with the defensive stance of the ball that's around it.
But I'm not going to look past the Rumblers coming in on the southern side. It's a hard approach, but they did this kind of last time. And we are seeing GX stabilizing, staying alive, claiming the compound, but for what it's worth, they're still not in the circle. Still got a long way to go. Tempo Storm can kind of go the way they came in, far east.
Really sorry to break you off here, Lauren. We have to check in with the Rumblers. They've just pulled up. Vendetta and STV are there. They've been held back for now. I'm seeing shots. G does go off his bike, but looks like it was on arrival. Prophet says, thank you very much. Easy points, easy money in the pocket. The Rumblers, you can hear it all kicking off in the background. Vendetta do see them at distance, but it looks like the Rumblers are getting inside the vehicles and turning and facing. The problem then, that will stand in front of them, or maybe behind, should I say, is infantry are going to be behind them. Infantry have got the break.
TSM are pulling up, or they were going to. I don't know what the hell the plan was, and it's been completely turned on its head. Iro and Rory need to get out of the line of fire because Lazarus aren't playing quick. They still have a 2-2. They still have 2 players being able to see this. Rory goes down, but it's Iro to get knocked. He's going to maybe have a chance on a heal if he gets around the corner. I don't know if it's worth it at this point. There's too much danger. Lazarus are being so proactive in this.
The 2-2 split's working perfectly. They set up to try and get a res and basically to get themselves back on their feet and their health up. Didn't expect them to be holding 2 different angles. You look towards a building and think, you know what, all the team's going to be there. Lazarus are playing so proactive. It's fantastic, and it only speaks dividends when we look towards the leaderboard. They're working as a unit. You can't hit them inside the buildings because they're going to be in the mountains behind you, hitting you from the opposing side. TSM,
look at this jump. Hold on. Purdy, Cuddy, and Halo instantly knowing that TSM's safest route is to head further south. That's their only way to get out of this because they're not going to go towards the other 2. This is a really proactive play, and look at the angle it's going to provide if they do come that way.
Have they taken TSM's vehicle off them as well? Did they do the tires? You'd have to assume so, because now they're on foot.
And there's the rotation. It's the most likely one. They're going to have to run the low ground. And if Purdy, Cody, and Halo are watching this, and it feels like they're aware, this puts them in the worst spot possible.
If Lazarus doesn't kill them, Genesis will. Genesis have just rotated on the road and come down to the main compound that will watch the crossroads. There will be rocks in their way looking towards the west, so they won't be able to see the fight directly. But once TSM shows its hand and enters the circle, they're dead. They have to take this fight head on.
Yeah, it looks like here's the cut up. They're going to try and head a
The
little bit
2-2 might be
closer on.
a failure here for Lazarus if they get caught.
Maybe. I don't know how... TSM are nowhere aware of this, but they don't know how close Michael is. So Fly just came out from Purdy, Cody, or Alo. I don't know who. But now Michael is right on their doorstep. Once he crests this hillside, there's going to be pressure. Alo instantly with a pre-nade. Up and over it goes. Does it find Michael? I don't think it does, and Gustav is there. Purdy, Cody goes down, and Alo's all alone. He has no support. Uncivil's on the way. Luke's on the way, but it may be too little too late. Gen G just somehow found 1 million kills. Well, let's focus on what we see here. Luke, 12. It's absolutely disastrous for Lazarus. From being large and in charge, they are wiped out. They're down to Alo. He was meant to be the off angle. He was meant to be the one maybe being a nuisance. And he's just watched his team get destroyed.
They've done it. Michael and Rory went for an aggressive push. They were left completely unchecked. You saw the 2-2 coming in, which should have, in theory, held them dead to rights out in the blue. But they let them get away with it. They don't keep a track. They stay completely disconnected in the 2-2. TSM just walked through them. You can't let that happen. You have to hold them dead to rights and strangulate them.
All right, let's catch up on what we just saw outside of that. We do have Gen G making their way in, but only towards that last circle. It's moving again. The Rumblers are now not in the circle. They will be gate kept. They need to find a new way through, and it might be a southeast swing. Na'Vi getting completely trashed by GEX being very late to position. It looks like Entus Ace are just about moving away as Gen G get towards a new position.
Another thing to touch on is Tempo Storm's movement. It's been fantastic. They took the fight when they needed to and they've stayed alive, which has granted them access into a completely dead area for at least 500-600 meters all around them. They can now take a good foothold inside. Na'Vi's dead. Thank you very much. Shyway says, you know what, that's an easy point for me. Job done. Genesis, we go towards the northern end of the side. TSM, see Gen G, they're on rotation. Keep an eye on that kill feed because the Sun Sisters, they're making a very sketchy maneuver out in the open. Genesis should have a complete read on what's going down. And this is what's going to happen. That's out the back of the car. Job done. Joy's dead. So is Reng as well. And finally, Vendetta, they're getting a few points on the board. This will be good for the confidence going into the next time they have to play.
Yeah, they're gatekeeping down the south side. They could potentially find more players. Gen G going to disengage from TSM, who are kind of slowly working their way in on the west. And TSM look in a pretty bad position here. It's a very hard rotate for them now coming forward. We'll see how that continues. We've got to look at the south here. You have Vendetta, you have the Rumblers. You have so many teams now falling together. That's TSM trying to make their play, and it's not going to go well.
Gen G's actually opting to drive by as well. They see the shack up top, and for QM, you know what? This could be a field day.
How are they alive?
This might play actually really well for TSM. They've now been ignored. They got him.
Not with the nade, but with the gun. It looks exciting.
Rory stole it. They just yoinked it away from QM as they were in mid-fight of them. And now they've actually managed to take them down. Michael's got an angle. Just be aware. Profi is in the distance. You can see it on the corner of the map. Just look towards the number. Profi is rearing his head. If he gets involved here, he will completely break TSM apart on his own.
Depends which fight he takes. Iroh going to keep back QM. He's keeping them humble. He's allowing some covering fire for his teammates, but here comes that push coming out from the other players, from Profi. He's starting to get a little bit curious, a little bit interested. Rumblers are winning down in the south. You see QM desperately trying to gatekeep TSM, but how are TSM so slippery? They're just not going down. They're down on no HP. Iroh desperate for a heal. Rory's finally fallen, and it looks like they're down to their last stand. Michael's alive, but barely.
I mean, they've picked up a few points before doing so.
Michael's in. Wait, Michael might find an off angle on them. Hold on.
I don't know, QM.
Oh, no, there it is.
QM's read him. And like if he goes down south, he basically just gets flooded into the warm embrace of Genesis, who have found tied as well. Keep an eye on the kill feed to see if he picks up that. Rumblers are battering people, but Vendetta is fighting back the screen. And if they strike now while the Iron's hot, they could pick up a hell of a lot of points. That's two teams that are easy picking.
Where are Vendetta right now? It's Rumblers going down. They've been eliminated. Vendetta finds the perfect timing. They're sweeping through the south, but can they finish the job? Michael sees a victim, and he loves the death from above. Look at that fire. Needs to tap away, be clinical, be precise. Get the points, Michael. That is your mission, and you need to accomplish it. Profi knocked, and it will be his kill.
We appreciate that one man for TSM is still picking up frags. One with the bush, one with the bullets. K-Man sees him. So now just kind of push him into no man's land, really. You wouldn't expect him to do anything else with QM on the back foot as well that is behind them. Once that fight ensues, it will be like, okay, you know what? Well, maybe let's go get involved. Tempo Storm outside of the circle, but no one's really in front of them because Miluk, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job of reading what's in front and finding a foothold for Tempo to arrive completely undetected.
Michael's getting wrapped on, but Genesis think he's playing super slow. He's actually got way ahead of them here. This is great for Michael. He can just start working his way forward. VC, I think, just got eliminated. They did. Vendetta again. They continue their sweep and clear down south. The cleaners are in. They are just sweeping everyone up. We do see Enter's Force finally getting spotted. That's Michael, the one-man band, the one danger on the map. He's a deadly threat to everyone still alive.
And he's now into placement points. He shouldn't even be there. But because of Vendetta slapping everyone down south, it's actually helping, in theory, TSM out, only having one strong. Enters Force, 1-2-1, all around the ball edge of those compounds. As an emergency scenario, if anyone shoots them, you can dip dive and jump all the way into the compound. Tempo Storm will be warning everyone else that there is a team on way, GEX. The bike will make a little bit of noise, and Genesis should have them down. TSM, 8th position. Fantastic, absolutely bloody good job today.
Yeah, good enough for TSM, happy with that. Can't complain. Now let's see who goes into overdrive mode here. We have a couple of teams who are outside of the top 10 currently who need this. Enter's Force is one of them, and they are in prime position. They're sat in 10th currently. That's not where I expected to see them. So this is the time to deliver. This is where you find your form, and you put your team in a better spot. Tempo Storm Same position in theory. 5th currently. They need a push here. And to say slow, showing them how it's done so far. Bit of a trade coming in.
Alpaca gone down. Years with the refrag at least for now. If they want to make something happen, then they need to do it. Those teams are about to butt heads. I want to see that POV because Vendetta don't... Okay, this fight will kick off, but guys, look at the map. Vendetta are lurking. They smell blood. They smell points. They want to get involved in this, and here they come.
Yeah, they need to make this fight count. Do they have the full information? Do they care? Are they peeling away from this? Oof, that was a shot. There goes Ace. They were on the lesser side of things if you're thinking about it here. Enter's Force have the ground, they have the territory, they have the players. It has moved away from them slightly here. Luke's gone down. He's on an island. He's unrecoverable. I'm a bit worried the Tempo Storm have been playing this a little too passive for my taste.
Lauren. They've got a vehicle. They're going to send one off.
Yeah, but look who's hunting. I'm scared of Vendetta right now because they're playing like they've got nothing to lose, which may be the case here. They're hunting down everything that moves. If they see a target, it's just, you know, go at it. Now, Maluk, yes, he could be recovered, but they are close.
There is time for this. I don't think they get across that hill before the res is actually stuck. It's going to be close.
That's 2
I'll go with that.
though.
And remember, they have to come this way to get into the circle. They can't stay outside, so they have to come this way. It will be a bottleneck. If the other 2 members of Tempo Storm get set up on an angle where they can see them, they could pincer them from both sides and flood them into...
Genesis are pushing this.
The
They're trying to
circle side.
isolate 2 of these players, and maybe 3. K-Mind.
Switch the red dot.
Here's the steps. He waits patiently, unleashes on 1. The hits, 1 too clean, but he's got 19 left. Can he make them count? Peek above the ridge. Say bye-bye. Nuff. They're in support, and QM gets slaughtered. Genesis finally showing some life in them as of yet. Still down low, but they need some more.
I love the eye tracking, how you can just see them watching the edge, watching the ridge line, waiting for them to show their face, listening to the movement on the floor, connecting the sound with the dots, sees the marker, gets the support from Nerf over the shoulder. And it's 2 points for Genesis. It'll be a placement as well. They are all in a car, and there's somebody just downwind of them. I think, you know what, I'm going to be honest here. Unless GX hit this absolute world star of a nade, they may have gone a little bit early there because now they've put themselves in a very precarious position. That Tempo knows exactly where they are. Had they held their trigger there, they'd have had the drop on them.
But look at line of sight. It's gone towards Genesis. They have vision on this Vendetta. Of course they're in the fight. They want everything. They're just screaming for more here. Tempo Storm well aware of their positioning. Now everyone's kind of held in place. Genesis trying to lock back QM. That'd be a big pickup for them. Another point is a point in the right direction. They're currently on 26, and Enter's Force are on 28. They're the next jump up point for them. So anything helps here. Zampa trying to look for the shot as GX creeping their way. And keep in mind, these guys have been clinging on for dear life. They're the ones that hindered Na'Vi. They're the ones who've slowly forged their way back into this.
We do have 1 nade on the GEX player. Should he or anyone from the Vendetta be able to get 1 grenade inside that building, that's 3 easy points.
They're pushing.
The building's not safe either. There are multiple. There's 2 windows in it and 1 open door. Like, that's why you saw Tempo committing so many smokes and so much utility. But once that's gone, they're open exposed. You're better off with a rock that you can actually deny 1 point of cover because that provides absolutely nothing.
Let's take stock. 5 teams, 16 alive, and the first knock comes in. That's towards Tempo Storm, getting far too much attention across the map. K-Mind happy to deliver. Vendetta now suffer a similar fate at the hands of Enter's Force, who sit central until then. Suddenly it's moved away. They were kings of the hill for so long. They sat in that compound so pretty, and now they've got to move. Tempo Storm, yes, they're central, but they're losing players. All eyes turn on them. Genesis could make a sweep here. GX in the north playing it low-key, trying to stay calm on the dark side of the hill, playing it as slowly as possible. Enter's Force looking towards an east sweep. You have Genesis on the north side.
I really like the play from Tempo Storm to commit all their utility to get to a better position. It now gives them the rocks to play with and the defilades and just to be able to deny line of sight.
Force in some vehicles here. It looks like it's time to move up.
Oh, if Vendetta see them, Laura, and this will completely throw everything they've been building in the distance.
Uh-oh, this could be a huge problem for Force. They are looking in a little bit of bother here. Sharky on the heel. They just need to stay quiet, Tempo Storm. They just do not want to fight for a second. They want to let Vendetta do the work for them. Give them a second or two. Genesis now starting to line themselves up here. Look at the lines of sight. As soon as they go over the line, you're going to see GEX get a couple of shots. But they need to continue to push. They need to find their way into that next position. There's a shack. There's something they can play with. They want it desperately. They want to play a way in. Enter's Force yet to step to circle.
GEX came into this as 9th, Enter's Force as 12, Genesis as 14, Vendetta 16. For these teams that are here now in this placement in the top 5, this is good points. Placement, yeah, it'll be okay. But if you can do what Vendetta is doing and picking up the frags, that's where you're going to be able to make some momentum on that leaderboard.
Yeah, we are seeing Vendetta now getting the attention of just about everyone. Endless Force need to get past them to go forward, but K-Mine coming into his own. They've claimed that western side. It's theirs. Endless Force can no longer move that side here, and you can see the last remaining member of Vendetta maybe trying to do something, make a final stand, can't make it happen. Endless Force now has a step in the door, but will someone shut it on them?
Oop, second one comes up. The res was quick, but the movement was slow. They didn't move from that individual spot. The round still live and kicking on Genesis. The second one is the follow-up. It does bounce a little bit too far, but now they're bleeding out so fast. And so Nerf, oh, didn't see him. Nerf is actually going to go for a low push here. Sharky can't do anything. He's completely disconnected. He will be dead. If I was Sharky, I'd probably move out and give the information to the rest of Tempo Storm who's still alive.
Zampa tries to get away, tries to get to Sharky, but suffers a similar fate. Nerf has found one of GEX. He's trying to control that northern side, trying to get rid of the team that's probably going to have the upper hand. But here comes the play towards Tempo Storm. They're getting flushed. They're getting found. Endless Force still holds the south, but look who's creeping. Look who's getting close. K-Mine, H-Win, they're just over the hillside. They're waiting so patiently. If they show face, they're going to rip it off them. Tempo Storm now being pushed. There's Force. There they come. They take their spot. They've moved two in, but now the other two, the back two players, get the engage from Genesis. They're trying to hold this back so bad. They need this one to stay where it is. Nerf's getting the attention, but it's K-Mind and it's H-Win who can do the damage.
They have to take this fight in front of them because they can't advance into the circle. Nerf holds them at gunpoint from range. H-Win goes outside up against the blue. I don't think they know where he is. If he takes that on angle, which he does, 1-2, it's the world, that's massive!
That has cut off Force at the knees. They no longer have their backup. They no longer have vision behind them. They're surrounded on all fronts for all they know. Nerf holds the north, and K-Mine and H-Win are the squad of doom for them. Running back to join their teammates. Enters Force, digging deep, but they've been spotted. Kane now pays a huge deal of damage. That's a nuisance play. He does have his teammate beside him. 3 teams alive, 8 players. And the other 2 for Force can no longer move. They're dug in deep, but Nerf still knows where GX are. So if you want to play information, Genesis have so much.
Doya will be taking out in just a second. Deny any rest of information. They'll be able to pass it off. I think it's actually been stolen, though. GX.
Genesis are pushing.
Will nip it.
They're pushing on this K-Mine and H-Win.
Where's his
Look
helmet?
how close they are. They don't have any, but they're pushing it right now. And K-Mine's found one. Can they follow up on towards Indigo? He's still there. He's still in the smoke. Kane, he's doing nothing right now. Let's look at these guys. Do they follow up on the push? Do they have a nade? They were nading up so much. That's surely a flush to happen. It's surely Genesis's. This can't go any other way here.
All Nerf has to do is just keep the information.
They've isolated Nerf. GX know what's going on. They know that it's now a push towards the other, so he knows there's only one player here. Nerf gets outdone. GX with a really smart play, making it hurt. Genesis didn't clear out Enters. That's what they had to do. They would have jumped over. They would have taken their spot. And now it's back to maybe being GX's game.
Level 3'd up and ready to go. Don't forget about Indigo lingering in the distance. If he shows up on time, or at the wrong time, should I say, for Genesis, that will split them and put them in the ground and give the go signal for GEX. The problem is for K-Mine and H-Win, how do you peak this? With no helmet, you are completely at the mercy of the headshot multiplier. You will die. If they hit any bullet, you're going down. There is no revive possible.
GX, similar position. K-Mine gets a spot, but he has to be patient. He has to know when to shoot, when to fire. That trigger discipline is paramount to their success here. 6 kills, the man's capable. But can he hold his nerve in these pressure moments? Looking over, you got Kane, same thing. Everyone eyeing up that horizon. The blue slowly moving them closer and closer. GX do not want to leave this ridgeline until they have to. Can Genesis isolate these 2? Will they get folded on by Indigo? He's still a danger player here.
Circles pushing. Eventually, they will be forced to make a move. Every single bullet has to count. There we go. Go time. That's one. Oh my God. Are they going to do this with no helmets? Really?
I don't know. H-Win, they need to find the other player. Jaiwa, he's still down there. He's got a little bit of a divot to work with. Indigo finally arrives. Denies 1. 10 kills. Can he make it more? Looking for the victory here. Genesis down to just K-Mind. You have just one on the other. This is 3 players isolated. 1v1v1. K-Mind. Oh, the headshot. He just needed one more bullet. H-Win gets flushed. K-Mind now has to deal with a fight on 2 fronts. Shaiwei has 1 HP. If the blue touches him, he's dead. And there he goes. It's K-Mine against Indigo. It's not over yet. Indigo, 5 bullets. He goes for the reload. And K-Mine has a second to breathe, but just a second. Indigo scanning the horizon. K-Mine makes the peek. Oh, it's Indigo. Holds his calm, holds his nerve. And we asked, where were the Korean teams? Where was Force? We've got our answer now.
You said anything was possible. If there was a region that come up close and come up clutch when it matters most, it's Korea with back-to-back wins on Miramar. That will do absolutely wonders for the points on the table. Bides his time. Picks apart two teams. Oh my word. Well, the leaderboard, it was a little bit far stretched when we came into this one, but now things have just got a little bit more spicy.
And you know what? Yes, the win is Enter's Force. They can be proud of this achievement, but I cannot take my eyes off what K-Mind achieved in that final moment. He had nothing. He had a level 1 vest that was basically dead, no helmet, and he played that out as well as he could. He was left in a 1v1 and he fought that valiantly. I absolutely loved what he did there, but that was a great game to close out on here.
Yeah, to be able to hold your own like that, and sometimes we'll see teams, they'll get really aggressive and hyper-aggressive and bloodthirsty.
Yes.
To be able to realize what utility and what gear you're working with and say, you know what, they need to make the push. They need to make the assault. Let's hold us ground for now. Not sure at all. Like, even if you head peek, you're going to give away the information. The player across the road that was running, he had no clue where they were.
Yep.
Okay, they didn't get the win, but still, to be able to survive to that second place and go in a 1-to-1, to take it down to that level with no utility or gear at all, that's massive. That's what we expect on a World Championship event. This is the level of play that we want to see at Auckland.
And again, the question that I had in my mind was also, where was Genesis at the start of this? They were not in a good position. They pushed themselves up. Entus have done so well to recover. I want to take a look back at this. I want to have a little glimpse back at what we just witnessed, have a little highlight moment here, because there were so many throughout that game. Let's watch this one back and get a little bit of a reminder, and just keep in mind how many of these points seem, you know, one kill can make such a difference throughout the entirety of these matches.
The stats do matter, and I think you've got to look at it. I mean, Entus Force, they came into this one, and we said it on Miramar, they have an average placing of 2.5. They know the lay of the land. They know this was a time to make up some points and get some really good stuff behind them and get it going. They've done just that. This is a phenomenal play from them. To be able to turn around when you kind of, and I suppose that what kind of makes the difference between a good team and a great team. I want to hold for a second and just say TSM, I do not know how they managed to get those kills on Lazarus when Lazarus was holding them outside of the blue. For Rory and Michael to be left completely unchecked, that should never have happened in a million years.
No, Michael putting up a really good performance considering he was, you know, last man alive. And this is, remind yourself, this is Genesis, the team who was left in that scenario. They were very late at rotating, and K-Mind, again, this guy to me played a brilliant matchup here. This was support from his teammate, I think, coming in. Yeah, Nerf got that, but the damage he did was absolutely paramount to his team. This is a very big kill game, and that's probably a big confidence boost that he needed.
To be able to nail that is coming across the road and just keep your teammates up. What else can you say about it? 12 kills compared to what did they have in the previous one? 8. 20 kills into 30 points in 2 games for Entus Force is absolutely phenomenal.
They can be happy with that one. You can see him on the screens, and I know what that means. We're going to get an absolute delight from hearing from Rachel down on the stage.
We're doing a little denial on kills.
Huh? Yeah, in the first match, yeah.
You guys pick up.
Okay, here we go.
Hey everybody, we're down here on the stage. I've got Eero from TSM, and you guys had an explosive first day here back at the OGN Super Arena. So last week, Cameron got to talk to Rory, and he said that you guys were playing a little slow and steady last week. You were playing anything but this week. So what was the cue to change things up?
Well, obviously we reviewed demos, and we were like pretty confident in our team fights, so why not take advantage of that and then just kill everyone?
Yeah, kill everyone you did. In the top 5 of kill leaders, you had 3 players, yourself included. So how do you turn that on, the kills?
I mean, like, as I said, we're pretty good on like team fights right now, and we have confidence in ourselves. And I would say like everyone on the team is a pretty good shooter overall. And then like we had some free kills as well on Navi. It's a bit sad that they're from EU, but I mean, you can't do anything about it, I guess.
You got to do it to them, absolutely. Yeah. Now, when you tell me that you're pretty good at team fights, what does that mean to you guys to be pretty good at team fights?
I mean, it means that we're not scared of anyone, that we can take like any fight anywhere, doesn't matter. I mean, the fight we took on Lazarus this match was pretty good as well.
Yeah, let's talk about this fight on Lazarus. You were pushing uphill into them. They had 4 alive, and by all rights, every view on you guys. How did you manage to overcome?
Well, we didn't have anywhere to go, and we said, let's just push Lazarus. And then we just sent it. I got knocked, but then I got rezzed. And we had a pretty good flank as well. I think it was Rory. I don't remember it like pretty well, but the boys just like knocked everyone, and we got the fight easily.
Yeah, you guys are very judicious with giving away kills as well. We noticed in the first game that you were not giving them up easy. You'd rather take out your own teammates. So talk to me a little bit about the awareness and strategy that goes into that.
Well, we knew that we're not going to be able to make it because we're like edge of blue. They're spread on the map, like it was Navi again. And Gustav was like, let's just go into blue. And he just insta-shot me. It was a bit of a surprise for me as well. It just happened in a second. But it was a fun thing for us. We laughed about it a bit. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you guys can laugh at the end of all that. Well, it was a fantastic day of play for TSM. Tomorrow you're coming back and playing again. What are you going to do in the interim?
I guess just keep whatever we're doing right now.
You're going to go study some VODs? Or you're going to crash right out?
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Love to hear it. We're going to send it back up to the analysts now to break down the day. Thank you so much.
Yes, as we have a double header of OG and Intus Force there towards the end. So much Force, in fact. Froz almost fell off his stage piece. Crazy stuff going on here whilst we hear from Iro. A big congratulations, obviously, to TSM to take the #1 spot today. However, the road is not over yet. Here are the points coming in from our final game. OG and Intus Force, as Rich mentioned, 30 points in 2 games. Massive, massive stuff.
40 points.
40 points.
40 points. He did the math wrong in 2 games. Massive.
I like the 10-point increase from the end of the match to now. Really solid. No, Force came out. I mean, we said in the last one, this is a team that can play catch up. They've got the mental fortitude. They've got the LAN experience. They clearly got their wits about them and came out and got the double on Miramar.
Yeah.
Man, that was an amazing way to end the day.
Definitely. Genesis, though, getting second place with 11 kills. That's something they need for tomorrow as well.
Except they got to stop being good only on the last game of the day.
That's true, but also Force guys, 5 points in 4 games. To step it up like this, this is what they needed. They're going to be back tomorrow, and this is the momentum we talked about. They literally kicked the snowball off the mountain and started rolling and became extremely big in 2 games.
At the same time, though, if they want their campaign to be successful, to become like a world champion here at PGC, they need to be better on everything other than Miramar, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, on Erangel, for example, I feel like they need to push out Genesis out of the city, though.
Well, let's talk about the leaderboard for today. Of course, a lot of the teams at the top of this leaderboard are very, very safe considering what is to come. You know, they've got a good chunk of points there going into the next 2 days. And obviously, all of these teams only have 1 more play day apiece. So TSM at the moment with 54 points leads the charge. A lot of variation with, well, a lot of Europe, of North America and Korea up towards the top there to get things going.
I mean, I'm hyped. Like, I work for the MPL. I watch the North American guys play all the time. To see all 4 of our teams on the left side of the bracket after today, that's a big thing for me because this was one of the big challenging days, I think, for North America.
Yeah, that's pretty huge, actually. But overall, Rumbless getting second place.
Yeah.
And both Rumbless and TSM, they're in the top here. None of them got a win today. That just shows how consistent they've been today and how they can continue with that the upcoming days.
That's a good point. 2 wins and still can't pass them.
TSM had 1 second place. The rest was outside the placement points, except for some of the games. They had so many kills. It was absolutely insane. 10 placement points. The rest was kills.
Wow.
So it's 44 kills, guys, in 6 games. Absolutely insane.
I want to see what Rumbless can do if they can grab some points on Sanhok. How will that be?
Can you imagine? Imagine a world where they knew how to get 2 points on Sanhok.
On an average.
I think they're averaging 0 at the moment.
There's a few teams, of course, that have got to be wary about their adjustments and going into the next couple of games, of course, a couple of days even, I should say. Infantry, Vendetta, Sun Sister down there. Vendetta and Infantry especially not breaking that 20-point mark. For Infantry, not breaking even that 10-point mark. It is a difficult spot to be in. They got to step it up.
I mean, at the end of the day, you send a player to the hospital for literally half the day. Lynn, who is a great player, wasn't with them.
Yeah.
And I think that I can say tomorrow, everyone will be cheering for them. I know the whole desk, if they have come out and do a good first game, like, we're all going to be on their side. You want to see them bounce back after such a rough day.
Well, gentlemen, before we kind of break more down, let's have another listen in here at PGC.
먼저 싸운다.
연막. 싸울 거야, 기다려봐.
끝은 없어. 끝은 없어. 오른쪽이랑
1대1대1이야.
앞으로 하자. 제네시스 오른쪽. 나이스.
1대1.
나이스.
Riveting stuff.
They had about 10 words during the whole play there.
I will say though, the Naisu came as I expected it.
Nice. That's what we're looking for.
But
We're looking for
obviously,
the Naisu.
everybody's listening for steps here. Everybody's trying to pinpoint exactly where the other player is because he doesn't have a POE of them.
It was like the cadence of guys who just showed up for work. Like they knew they were going to win this,
Yes.
played it well.
Yeah, you know. All right, moving on. Groups B and C are tomorrow. We have 6 games coming at you, and it is going to be an exciting day. Once again, we have a lot of those PKL teams representing, and we have the debuts in the semi-finals, of course, of Ghost, 4 AM, Africa Freaks, Fatal, FaZe, T1, AHQ, W-Click, and Red Canids Kalunga. Very important.
Hey, good
Thank you
job.
very much there,
Together.
Avenger. That was beautiful.
Can we try it for all 4 of us?
He knew
Can
I
we
was
do
going to
all
do
4 of
it.
us?
Yeah. But it's an exciting day tomorrow. We get to see all of those 8 teams play, as well as our teams from today trying to prove themselves even further.
I mean, we get to see FaZe come out, and I think that they're probably going to surge up pretty well. I love that we don't get to see FaZe TSM until the final day, which I'm really looking forward to that. I think tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see how the teams that played today and is on the top. Teams like Rumblers, Force, and Navi, how are they going to play tomorrow? Are they going to go aggressive and try to bully people? Or are they going to just keep playing their game?
You know what? That's exactly what you do. They should. The teams that have been playing today, they have a lead. They should be being out there and making sure that the other guys don't catch up, making sure that they kind of gatekeep them a little bit. That way, you make sure that you stay in the top 8 after we're done on the Sunday.
Well, you also got to remember, tomorrow is the last day for Group B. The guys who played today and will be playing tomorrow. So they have to step up big tomorrow as well.
It's a little harder because you got to make sure you leave nothing on the field, right? But it's harder when you're not you don't know what the final score is going to be. So they need to come out from game 1 with that sense of we're playing catch up and play as if they've lost, as if they're in the bottom of the bracket, whether or not they're on top.
And that is it for today, gentlemen. Thank you very much. And a huge shout out as well to Planetronics and Zowie by BenQ here, joining us for the PGC as things stand. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place here, as we have Groups B and C going head to head. For Group B, it truly is do or die for the points tomorrow. We'll see you then.
He's probably running for the left. Nice smoke, so.
always great to see the eye tracking software giving us a bit of extra detail as to what's going on.
Nothing in my way will make me be afraid. And I can feel it in my bones. Yeah, I can feel it in my soul. Yeah, I can feel it, no letting go. And I can feel it, it's getting close. I said, I can't stand by anymore. Looking in from the outside, I know I can hold the phone. They can't keep my hands tied. I need Looking in from the outside, I know I can hold the fort. They can't keep my hands tied. I need strength to carry on. Help me push it through. Oh, no one can save me from myself. I need force, breaking down the walls by force, keeping my head above the water, screaming till I lose my voice. I need force, breaking down the walls by force, keeping my head above the water, screaming till I lose my voice. Like a tidal wave, like a hurricane, nothing in my way will make me be afraid. And I can feel it in my bones, yeah, I can feel it in my soul, yeah, I can feel it, no letting go. And I can feel it, it's getting close. I said I can't stand by anymore. Looking in from the outside, I know I can hold the fort. They can't keep my hands tied. I need strength to carry on. And help me push it through. Oh, no one can save me from myself. I need force, breaking down the walls by force, keeping my head above the water, screaming till I lose my voice. I need force, breaking down the walls by force, keeping my head above the water, screaming till I lose my voice. Yeah. I need force, breaking down the walls by force, keeping my head above the water, screaming till I lose my voice. I need force, breaking down the walls by force, keeping my head above the water, screaming till I lose my voice. I can't stand by anymore. Looking in from the outside, I know I can hold the fort. They can't keep my hands tied. I need strength to carry on. And help me push it through. Oh, no one can save me from myself. I need force, breaking down the walls by force, keeping my head above the water, screaming till I lose my voice. I need force, breaking down the walls by force, keeping my head above the water, screaming till I lose my voice. Like a tidal wave, like a hurricane, nothing in my way will make me be